Chapter 506. The hall became quiet. Everyone, tell me, is there anyone who wants to go after them? Fu Mengshan glanced at everyone and took a sip from his teacup. Everyone looked at each other. Then, it became lively. Everyone was talking at the same time, fighting to go. Ma Kuan glanced at everyone and smirked. He scoffed, "Second brother Hu Chi-feng, you guys should rest." "Elder Ma, why can't we?" A middle-aged man with thick eyebrows and big eyes shouted, "Let's go together, I don't believe we can't handle 3 people. People like you, even 100 of you won't be enough." Ma Kuan sneered. "Elder Ma, what are you thinking? If you can't do it, then others can't?" Second brother Hu laughed at the top of his lungs. "We must get this first merit." "Humph, don't lose your head before getting the first merit." Ma Kuan curled his lips in disdain. All right. Su Huanda waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "All of you come one by one. Be more aware. Those with weaker martial arts shouldn't come and join in the fun. Otherwise, you'll be giving others the merit." "Commander Su, how many of us are going?" A thin middle-aged man stood up and closed-fist saluted. "If it's 8 to 10, then we have to pick the strongest martial arts. If it's more than 20, we can all contribute." "More than 20." Someone shouted, "That's more reliable." "More than 20. Su Huanda said coldly, "Why don't you send the whole house?" Most of the people in the hall were centurions. They had dozens or even hundreds of people under them. However, there were not many grandmasters. Other than themselves, each of them only had 1 or 2. The grandmasters went to the imperial residence, the residence of the ministers, and even the imperial house. However, the secret guardians' hall rarely came because they knew that once they entered, they would never be able to leave. It went against the nature of the people in the martial arts world. This time, they would definitely send grandmasters. Many of them were prepared to go personally. This was a great merit. Once they snatched it, they could get a lot of good stuff. It was a big fat piece of meat that everyone wanted to take a bite out of. Then 10. Su Huanda turned to look at Fu Mengshan. "Commander, what do you think?" 10 is fine too." Fu Mengshan said faintly, "Everyone knows who's strong and who's weak. Those who can't compare to old Ma, don't come out and embarrass yourselves." Only then did everyone shut their mouths, and the hall quieted down. Ma Kuan had a bad temper and a foul mouth, but his martial arts were indeed powerful. There were not many who were stronger than him. Fu Mengshan swept his gaze across the crowd and said, "Everyone, stop fighting. I'll pick someone with Commander Su. Whoever I pick will go. Boyuan, can you move?" A little fatty who had been silent all this while shook his head and said weakly, "Commander, we will only be a burden if we go. Our injuries are too heavy." "Then what should we do?" Everyone was anxious. Sitting next to the little fatty was a big fatty in his 20s with a sallow complexion. "Commander, I heard that Head Chief Chu is also proficient in tracking technique." "Yes, young Chu's tracking technique is also top-notch." Fu Mengshan nodded. "Then let Head Chief Chu lead the way." The big fatty said, "His martial arts are also very powerful. I heard that his lightness skill is unparalleled." "Zhongyuan, your thoughts aren't that pure," Fu Mengshan said with a faint smile. "People of the same trade envy each other. Boyuan, your Ning family's tracking technique is indeed top-notch, but there's always someone better than you. Don't think that you're really invincible." Su Huanda scoffed. "Yes, Commander, you're right." The big fatty Ning Zhongyuan immediately closed fist, saluted with a serious expression. Fu Mengshan said, "Young Chu's martial arts is strong and he's proficient in tracking techniques. He's indeed a suitable candidate. Elder Su, call him over." "He's not in the imperial residence." Su Huanda shook his head and said, "I can't find him." "Sigh, this young Chu, what's he busy with now?" Fu Mengshan said helplessly. "He's the head chief of the imperial residence. He has quite a lot of work to do." Su Huanda said, "He might not agree to go." Ma Kuan laughed coldly. Commander Su, what gives him the right? Why won't he agree? Su Huanda scoffed coldly. Elder Ma, he's a special identity bestowed by the Emperor. The secret guardian of the Imperial House is just another identity. He doesn't have to do anything. If you're so capable, ask the Emperor to give you one too. Ma Kuan said angrily. We're fighting with our lives, but he's just hiding in a corner and enjoying the peace. Chu Li slowly opened his eyes. The sun was setting in the west. A crisp sound suddenly rang from above, and 2 fruits fell from the sky. It was thrown from the sky by a spirit crane. Chu Li caught it firmly. It was 2 green apricots. Xiao Shi looked at it curiously. What's this? Chu Li passed one to her. Try it. Is it edible? Xiao Shi took it and looked at it carefully. Chu Li smiled. Since it's from the spirit crane, it must be edible. It should be something good. Alright, I'll try it. Xiao Shi took a bite first. It was fine if she died, he could save her. If he died, she could not do anything about it. Chu Li smiled as he looked at her beautiful face and seductive red lips. Xiao Shi finished it in 2 or 3 bites. She took out a silk handkerchief from her sleeve and wiped the corner of her mouth. How is it? Chu Li smiled. My stomach feels warm. Xiao Shi smiled. It feels good. Chu Li ate it in a few bites. It was crisp in his mouth, but it did not have a strong taste. There was only a hint of sweetness. It was tasteless. A moment later, a warm current gushed out from his stomach and circulated throughout his body. The feeling of weakness and hunger was dispelled in an instant. He felt full, as if his body was filled with boundless strength. He wanted nothing more than to raise his head to the sky and let out a long roar to vent his excitement. Good stuff! Chu Li exclaimed. He turned to look at the spirit crane on top of the tree and closed fist saluted to thank it. I don't feel like eating dinner after eating this, Xiao Shi said. Dusk slowly rose. Chu Li said, let's go back too. All right. Xiao Shi nodded. The 2 disappeared in a flash and appeared at the island of Symphony of the High Duke's public house. Xueling was waiting for the 2 in the pagoda. Seeing their sudden appearance, Xueling took down the boiling water and brewed tea. The fragrance permeated the air. Drink some tea before you leave. Xiao Shi pointed at the teacup. It's not a big deal. Chu Li sat down. Xueling said, Master, are we starting to build the new moon brothel? Chu Li frowned and pondered. Xueling said, if we're starting, we should find a place. Chu Li shook his head. His original plan was to build another new moon brothel in the fairies' capital to collect information. Now that the situation had changed, he had entered the secret guardian's hall. As long as he could stand firm and become a centurion, he would not have to worry about collecting information. The new moon brothel would become a burden and bind his hands and feet. It would be better to stay in Chongming Town. If the women from the new moon brothel were to meet with danger, he would blame himself. Xueling said, do we have to wait for a while? Chu Li put down the teacup and pondered. At the moment, we don't need them. We can look for them slowly. There's no rush. Yes. Xueling nodded. Chu Li smiled. Everyone doesn't want to go to the fairies' capital, right? Xueling nodded. The women in the new moon brothel lacked a sense of security. In Chongming Town, there was the High Duke's public house to protect them. No one dared to mess around. However, once they went to the fairies' capital, there were too many powerful people. The High Duke's public house could not protect them. Their fates were out of their control. Chu Li put down the teacup and smiled. Then let's forget about this. My lady, I need to go back. I need to go to the secret guardian's hall. Go. Xiao Shi waved her hand. I'll go back in 2 days. Chapter 507. Chu Li arrived at the secret guardian's hall unimpeded. The 2 protectors at the door bowed to greet him. Chu Li closed fist saluted. He just entered and he already saw them? Liang. When Liang saw him, he was startled and quickly came forward. Head Chief Chu, you're finally here. Chu Li said, is everyone here? Yes. Liang quickly nodded and said, "They're all worried. Centurion Ma and the Ning brothers were heavily injured. It was not easy for them to escape and they're in a terrible state. Everyone is very angry and is preparing to hunt them down." Chu Li said, "Help me tell Dong Qifei and Yang Zhongwen to bring the things here." Yes. Liang agreed without hesitation. When he heard the conversation in the hall, he knew that Chu Li's previous guess was correct. When everyone was busy chasing after them, he already guessed that it was a trap. This was not something an ordinary person could do. With this kind of wisdom, he would quickly rise in the Secret Guardian's Hall and become a top figure. He should curry favor with him. He might have to count on him in the future. When Chu Li stepped into the hall, everyone looked at him strangely. Some were shocked, some were jealous, some were carefully looking at him, and some were gloating. "Young Chu, you came at the right time." Fu Mengshan waved his hand and smiled. "What a coincidence, we were just talking about you and you came." Chu Li gave a fist salute and bowed to everyone else before he walked up to Fu Mengshan. Fu Mengshan pointed at a chair in front of Ma Kuan. "Sit down and talk." Chu Li nodded and sat in front of Ma Kuan. Ma Kuan snorted heavily. His face was gloomy and he glared at him. Chu Li ignored him and closed fist saluted. "Commander, what are you talking about?" "About your previous guess. Old Ma and the others have confirmed that it's true." Fu Mengshan sighed and shook his head. "Your mind is indeed clear. We can also heave a sigh of relief. At least we won't be punished by the Emperor." Chu Li smiled and nodded. The defection of the minister-counselor and the escape of someone who killed the minister-counselor were two completely different matters. The difference in importance was like heaven and earth. If the minister-counselor deserted, the important information would be obtained by the Li dynasty, and the loss would be immeasurable. However, if the minister-counselor was killed and the murderer escaped, it would be a different story. They would only lose a minister-counselor and the face of the imperial court. They only needed to bring the murderer to justice. If the minister-counselor managed to escape, the Secret Guardian's Hall would definitely be dismantled. However, if the murderer managed to escape, the blame that the Secret Guardian's Hall would receive would be much lighter. Fu Mengshan said, "Now there's only one problem left, and the hardest problem to solve is to kill the murderer. The Ning brothers are already heavily injured, so we can't bring anyone to chase after them. You're the only one in the Secret Guardian's Hall who's most proficient in tracking techniques, so?" Chu Li shook his head and smiled. "Commander, you don't have to worry about this anymore. I've already killed the murderer." "Killed?" Fu Mengshan was stunned. Su Huanda snorted. "The murderer is still thousands of miles away. Where did you kill him?" Ma Kuan sneered. "What a joke." Chu Li turned to look at him, but ignored him. He closed fist saluted at Su Huanda and smiled. "Commander Su, you know that my light body technique is not bad. It wouldn't take long for me to come and go. It wouldn't take much time to kill the three of them." Everyone looked at him. He did not look travel-worn at all. Instead, he looked calm and relaxed. His face was glowing, as if he had slept and eaten his fill. They frowned and shook their heads. Logically, a smart person like Chu Li would not tell such a lie that could be easily seen through. With this thought in mind, they did not say anything. However, Ma Kuan could not hold it in anymore. He had been suppressing the anger in his chest. He hated Chu Li so much that he wanted nothing more than to slap Chu Li to death. Unfortunately, Chu Li was neither gentle nor forceful. He ignored him and could not find a chance to vent his anger. Now, he finally found the chance. He knew how difficult it was to deal with those three people. Chu Li would not be able to deal with even one of them, let alone three. No matter how strong Chu Li was, he could not fight against three people alone. Most importantly, he was not injured at all. This was definitely a lie. He scoffed. "You said that you killed the three of them by yourself?" Chu Li looked at him and said calmly, "I found a friend to help me." "Which friend?" Ma Kuan asked. Chu Li smiled. "I can't tell you which friend. Can't I find a friend to help me? Don't tell me you colluded with them. That's why you killed them all of a sudden? Ma Kuan scoffed. As soon as he said this, he felt that he was in trouble. He was so angry at Chu Li that he was muddled. He wanted to pin a big hat on Chu Li. He was too eager and said such despicable things. Ma Kuan quickly waved his hand. Forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything. Do you think I killed them just because you said so? What evidence do you have? Why don't you call your friend over and testify together? Chu Li said, there will be soon. Commander, we have to be prepared this time. Not only did I kill the 3 of them, but I also killed 5 grandmasters who came to help. The Holy Church of Light will not let this go. A big battle is coming. Oh? Fu Mengshan was excited. He straightened his back and leaned forward. You killed 8 grandmasters? Chu Li nodded slowly. Ma Kuan chuckled. Chu Li looked at him helplessly, then looked at Fu Mengshan. Fu Mengshan coughed lightly. All right, Elder Ma. Stop talking. You're not allowed to speak from now on. Commander! Ma Kuan shouted in dissatisfaction. He's just making empty promises. Can't I doubt him? Isn't this too overbearing? He's not the emperor. Shut up. Fu Mengshan frowned and scoffed. Don't talk nonsense. Ma Kuan stared at Chu Li resentfully. Chu Li looked towards the entrance of the hall. Captain, we're here. Dong Qifei's voice came from outside. Chu Li smiled. Commander, they have something in their hands. Come in. Fu Mengshan said hurriedly. Dong Qifei was carrying 2 wooden boxes, while Yang Zongwen was carrying one. They approached Chu Li. Chu Li pointed at Fu Mengshan. Present it to the commander. Yes. Dong Qifei and Yang Zongwen's expressions were serious. Yang Zongwen opened Dong Qifei's 2 wooden boxes and opened his own. He took a few steps forward and presented it to Fu Mengshan. Fu Mengshan and Su Huanda glanced at the heads inside. They looked at them without any change in expression. The faces of the 3 heads were clear. After being soaked, there was no smell of blood. Fu Mengshan waved his hand and gestured for everyone to see. Ma Kuan glanced at it. His face immediately darkened. He took a deep breath and did not say a word. Everyone was also looking at Ma Kuan and the Ning brothers' expressions. Ning Buiyuan was about to speak, but he was pulled by the fat Ning Zhongyuan. He gave him a look to tell him to shut up. Although Ning Buiyuan did not understand, he listened to his brother and swallowed his words. Elder Ma, what do you think? Fu Mengshan looked at Ma Kuan. Ma Kuan scoffed. So, it's not a mistake? Young Chu, you killed the 3 of them. You've stolen everyone's credit. Fu Mengshan smiled. Chu Li stood up and closed-fist saluted. He smiled. I acted rashly. I hope everyone can forgive me. He turned his head and said, Commander, I've fulfilled my promise, right? Although it's a little different from what we said, I won't be stingy. From today onwards, young Chu, you're the centurion. Fu Mengshan laughed. Chapter 508 P.S. The 19th Alliance has been born, and the Alliance leader is Li Bai. P.S. I thought that no matter how hard I worked, with time, everyone would get used to it. I didn't think that there would be another Alliance leader. I'm grateful and motivated again. Wait. Ma Kuan said in a low voice, Commander, what do you mean? He became a centurion the moment he entered the house? Elder Ma, this was the agreement I made with young Chu. As long as he made this contribution, he would be promoted to a centurion. He did it, and I have nothing to say. Fu Mengshan waved his hand. Commander, Ma Kuan said unhappily, we worked so hard for so many years to be promoted to a centurion. He entered the house for less than a month and he's already on the same level as us. I can't accept this. If you can't accept this, you should have brought these 3 heads to me. Fu Mengshan laughed. You brought the Ning brothers, young Chu was alone. He didn't use the secret guardians. He became a centurion just by killing a murderer? Ma Kuan scoffed. If he killed the minister-counselor, I wouldn't have any objections to him becoming a centurion. But he's just a murderer. I can't accept this. If it wasn't for young Chu, you could have closed this case. Everyone is still worried, Fu Mengshan said. Su Huanda said impatiently, Elder Ma, shut up. The commander has given an order. Are you going to disobey? Don't take advantage of your seniority. The secret guardian's hall lives on ability, not on who's been here for a long time. But, Ma Kuan stared at Chu Li angrily. Su Huanda said coldly, based on what you said, I can't be the deputy commander. I haven't been here as long as you. That's not what I meant, Ma Kuan quickly said. Su Huanda said impatiently, you talk too much. From now on, you're not allowed to speak. Or else you can't be a centurion anymore. You can be the second in command under Chu Li. Yes, Ma Kuan said angrily. He did not dare to provoke the deputy commander. He had a bad temper and was a man of his word. If he insisted, he would definitely be fired. If he really became Chu Li's second in command, he might as well die. It was a great humiliation. Chu Li smiled at Su Huanda. Su Huanda scoffed and said, since the matter has been resolved, you may all disperse. Everyone cupped their fists and walked out. Dong Qifei, Yang Zhongwen, both of you may leave as well. Hand over your heads to the residents, Su Huanda said. You will be rewarded accordingly. Yes. The two of them quickly responded and looked at Chu Li. Chu Li waved his hand. The two of them took the box with the head and left. In their eyes, this severed head box wasn't scary at all. Instead, it was a supreme treasure that could be exchanged for many good things. Young Chu, tell me. Su Huanda said, how did you do it? Chu Li smiled. I'm just teaming up with a friend. What I'm worried about now is that the Holy Church of Light might have already obtained the Great Light Scripture. He had to keep his relationship with Lu Yurong a secret. Everyone would think that they were opponents, and it would be a surprise. It's a big problem. Su Huanda frowned. Fu Mengshan waved his hand. Everyone, just pretend that you don't know about this. Don't tell anyone. Chu Li and Su Huanda looked at each other and understood what Fu Mengshan meant. It was indeed not a good idea to spread the news. Otherwise, it would be exposing their own shortcomings and there would be no benefit at all. There's also the Holy Church of Light's revenge. Chu Li sighed. The Holy Church of Light has a lot of grandmasters. I'm afraid that the Secret Guardians Hall can't match up to them. That's nothing. Fu Mengshan said, this is the fairies' capital. They can't have too many masters. Chu Li said, they all have secret skills to hide their strength. If they sneak in, who would notice? What if they suddenly launch an attack on the Secret Guardians Hall? We can't not guard against that. Fu Mengshan frowned. Su Huanda also frowned. If something like that really happened, the Secret Guardians Hall would become a joke. The Secret Guardians Hall would become a joke and the Emperor would lose face. In the end, the Secret Guardians Hall would still be the unlucky ones. Young Chu, what do you think? Fu Mengshan asked. Chu Li said, we can only tighten our defenses. We can ambush grandmasters in the surroundings. Within half a year, the grandmasters will have to stay in the vicinity. Fu Mengshan lightly knocked on the table, deep in thought. Chu Li said, we can buy a residence in each of the 4 directions. The grandmasters will live in the 4 residences. If anything happens, they can come over immediately. This will require a lot of money. Fu Mengshan smiled bitterly. The residences here are very expensive. It's not cheap. Even I can't afford it. Chu Li smiled without saying a word. He could only say it casually. It would be strange if he could not afford the residences here. Su Huanda said, Chu Li's idea is not bad. Buy 4 residences, or even 2 more for the grandmasters to live in. Sigh. I'll think of a way. Fu Mengshan said, I'll have to report this to the Emperor. Alright, young Chu, you're a centurion now. Do you want to transfer some people under you? Chu Li smiled. I can transfer people as I please? Of course not. Su Huanda nodded. There are 24 centurions now. Let each of them allocate 2 people to you. Forget it. Chu Li shook his head and smiled. Then I'll really become a public enemy. I don't want too many people. Besides Dong Qifei and Yang Zhongwen, I'll add the Ning brothers. The Ning brothers. Fu Mengshan and Su Huanda were stunned. They shook their heads helplessly. Good fella. It's fine if you don't want them, but once you do, you'll be ruthless. The Ning brothers, Chu Li said. Can't the Ning brothers belong to me? These 2 are the most sought after. Their tracking skills are the best in the world. Young Chu, you're good at tracking. Isn't it a waste to have them? Fu Mengshan said. Chu Li said, I'll specialize in one thing. My team will be in charge of tracking. How about that? That's a good idea, Su Huanda said. Fu Mengshan thought for a while. Fine, I'll give them to you. Chu Li's mind was extraordinary. The Ning brothers would be much stronger under him than under others. It would be more beneficial to the secret guardians' hall. Thank you, Commander. Chu Li Fist saluted. When he returned to the courtyard of the imperial residence of King An, Song Sansi was already waiting outside. He was listening carefully to the movements inside the courtyard. When he saw Chu Li, he was shocked. He Fist saluted and said, Head Chief, His Royal Highness wants to see you. Oh, you may go. Chu Li nodded. He looked at Song Sansi's back and shook his head with a smile. It seemed that Princess Song was worried that he would do something bad to the 2 girls. He turned around and walked towards the cultivation courtyard. Just as he was about to pass through the moon gate and turn towards the cultivation courtyard, he saw Grandmother Dong in a plain gown carrying a medicine box out of the moon gate. Her footsteps were heavy and her brows were furrowed. Chu Li coughed and Fist saluted. When Grandmother Dong saw him, she smiled and nodded. Head Chief. Grandmother Dong, can I have a word with you? Chu Li pointed to the courtyard next to him. Grandmother Dong looked around and followed him to this secluded courtyard. His Royal Highness injury. Chu Li whispered. I want to know the details so that I can be prepared. Grandmother Dong looked at him hesitantly. Chu Li said, Is it really like what the rumors say? It's impossible to have any more children? Grandmother Dong sighed and did not speak. Chu Li Fist saluted. Thank you. Grandmother Dong shook her head. Head Chief, please persuade His Royal Highness. I don't think it's appropriate for His Royal Highness. All right. Chu Li said slowly. I will persuade His Royal Highness. Grandmother Dong curtsied and left quietly. Chu Li stood in front of the moon gate and pondered. If he really cut off his children, King An would definitely go crazy. Without children, he would lose the hope of inheriting the throne. Under such a blow, he was afraid that King An would go crazy and ask the emperor for help. Since he had no hope of inheriting the throne, it would be better to ask the emperor to help him recover his martial arts and even recover his body so that he could have children. Without the throne, he would naturally choose the latter. As long as he faced and accepted the reality of losing the throne, he would eventually choose the latter. Chapter 509. As he thought of this, he stepped through the moon gate and saw Su Ning outside the cultivation courtyard. Su Ning wore a yellow robe and stood quietly outside the door like a statue. He was actually cultivating. When he saw Chu Li, he pressed his palms together. His Royal Highness is waiting for you, Head Chief. I'm looking for His Royal Highness, Chu Li said. I have good news to report. Please. Su Ning extended his hand and invited him in. Chu Li pushed the door open and entered the cultivation courtyard. King An was sitting by the stone table, quietly looking at the sky, motionless. Chu Li did not say anything and sat opposite him. Su Ning stood in a corner and did not attract attention. King An stared at the sky absent-mindedly. After not seeing him for a few days, King An had aged a few years. His eyes were lifeless. Not only did he lose his martial arts, his body looked old, but he also had a mental breakdown and was about to collapse. His Royal Highness, Chuli said in a low voice. He did not sympathize with him. King An only had himself to blame for falling into this state. He could only blame himself for provoking him. King An looked at the sky motionlessly, lost in his thoughts. Chuli coughed softly. His Royal Highness, I have good news. I have good news too. King An slowly lowered his head and looked at Chuli with a faint smile. Do you want to hear it? Chuli raised his eyebrows and smiled. His Royal Highness has good news, of course I want to hear it. I'm preparing to enter the palace, hee. King An started laughing. His laughter became louder and louder as if he had gone mad. Chuli looked at him quietly. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. King An could not stop laughing. He laughed until tears came out and he was out of breath. Chuli just looked at him quietly. King An laughed for a while and wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. He turned to look at him. What do you think, head chief? Is this good news? Chuli said, the Emperor is an enlightened master with remarkable abilities. Once he makes a move, your Royal Highness will definitely be able to turn misfortune into fortune and recover your martial arts. This is indeed good news. Haha, so what if I recover my martial arts? King An laughed. Do you think I can kill you if I recover my martial arts? Chuli said, the Emperor might be able to improve your Royal Highness' martial arts to the next level and defeat me. So what if I kill you? I'm still a pitiful creature. King An shook his head. Chuli said, your Royal Highness is too greedy. Many people want to have everything that you have but they can't. Your Royal Highness, on the other hand, has thrown them away. I'm just one step away from owning the world and dictating my own fate and the fate of everyone in the world, but I can only become a pitiful worm that is submissive and listens to others. Isn't that pitiful? King An sneered. If I become the Emperor, I only need to say the word to kill you. Why would I need to waste so much effort? Chuli smiled. If your Royal Highness wants to become the Emperor, then I'll run away first. The Emperor might not be able to kill freely. Where can you run to? King An said coldly. But don't worry. Once I look for my father, it means that I'm withdrawing from the fight for the throne. In the future, I can only be an easy prince. Your Royal Highness is wrong. Chuli shook his head. Your Royal Highness still has a chance. King An frowned and looked at him. Are you mocking me? Chuli said, I have two conditions. If your Royal Highness agrees to them, I'll tell you this good news. What conditions? King An scoffed. If I can really protect my throne, 20 conditions are not a problem. Chuli said, one is to never come within 3 feet of the lady. Swear an oath. Sio sure? King An frowned and stared at him. Do you like Sio sure as well? Chuli shook his head. King An did not believe him. He smiled faintly. No wonder. Chuli said, 2. The grudges between us will be written off. You can't kill me. Chuli, you're really naive. King An scoffed. If I swear, you'll believe me? Chuli slowly said, Your Royal Highness, swear an oath in the name of the Emperor. I believe that your Royal Highness will follow it. King An frowned and looked at him coldly. After a while, King An said in a low voice, You know quite a lot. Chuli smiled. I heard that an enlightened master's oath is binding. Heaven and man will witness it. Seems like it's true. King An scoffed. Tell me, what good news? Chuli said, If your Royal Highness swears an oath, I'll tell you. I'll make sure that your Royal Highness does not lose your chance to seize the throne. King An clenched his teeth and stared at him. If he swore an oath and Chuli broke his promise and gave him a piece of good news, then he would become a joke. Chuli said, Your Royal Highness, you can think about it carefully. Weigh the benefits and see if you dare to take this gamble. You're so sure that I'll agree. King An said coldly. Chuli nodded. Yes. All right, I'll swear this oath. King An clenched his teeth and nodded. He raised 3 fingers. Heaven and God can be my witness. I, Lung Sholi, will never come within 3 feet of Seoshur. I will never harm Chuli. If I break this oath, I'll be killed by my father. Chuli closed fist saluted and smiled. Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Speak. King An retracted his hand and said coldly. I'd like to hear what good news it is. Chuli said, Your Royal Highness actually has another child, right? King An frowned as he stared at him. It was as if he wanted to see through him. This was his biggest secret. No one knew about it. Chuli said, Your Royal Highness originally wanted to kill that child. It's a shame that he's still alive today. King An shook his head. Impossible! Revered Sir Su Ning knows this person. Chuli turned to look at Su Ning, who was at the corner. He pressed his palms together in front of him. He had been quietly standing there like a stone that was easily overlooked. Revered Sir knows him too? Have I seen him before? King An asked. Chuli shook his head. The little monk from the Titanium Temple, Suan, is Your Royal Highness' son. Junior brother Suan? He's Your Royal Highness' son? Su Ning pondered. Chuli smiled. I think it's not difficult for Your Royal Highness to verify it. Really? King An looked excited. As long as he had a child, he would not need to ask his father for help. There was still hope for him to seize the throne. Although having fewer children was a disadvantage, it was not absolute. As long as he was strong enough, he could still become the emperor. Chuli said, When have I ever lied to Your Royal Highness? I used all my power to obtain this information. It's worth 2 oaths from Your Royal Highness. He made King An swear these 2 oaths. Naturally, he did not believe it, but it was to calm King An down. He wanted King An to be more patient and not rush to make a move. He thought that he had bought himself enough time. It was not easy to cause King An's accidental death. He had been creating and waiting for the right time. He needed enough time. King An turned to look at Su Ning. Revered Sir. Su Ning looked troubled. Your Royal Highness, junior brother Su An can't leave the temple. I can't do anything. King An pondered. Chuli said, Su An can't leave the temple, but Your Royal Highness can. All right, I'll go take a look myself. King An said. Chuli looked troubled. Your Royal Highness, forgive me for not being able to accompany you. There's an emergency at the Secret Guardians Hall. I've offended the Holy Church of Light and the Amethyst Mountain. Once I leave, there'll be assassins waiting for me. All right, you stay in the Imperial residence. I'll go with the revered Sir. King An said. He was worried about Chuli. Chapter 510. Prince An let out a smile. He suddenly felt that Chuli was not as hateful as before. Chuli stood up and bid farewell. Watching his figure disappear outside the door, Prince An waved his hand. Su Ning approached and pressed his palms together. Your Royal Highness, do you not trust the head chief? Is there really a young revered Sir Suan in your temple? Yes. Su Ning said. Junior Suan is 12 years old today. Unfortunately, he was born weak and could not cultivate. Born weak and could not cultivate? Prince An was deep in thought. He understood that if he was hit by his vitality-sealing finger, he would not live past 8 years old. The reason he could live past 8 years old was obviously because he was saved by the Titanium Temple. The Titanium Temple was one of the 4 major sects, after all. They had amazing divine powers. It was not a big deal for Suan to live to 11 years old. Seoshur had lived until now. Suan was born weak, and this was in line with his background. He was suspicious by nature and would not be easily trusted. If it was not for a glimmer of hope in despair, he would not care about such news. He could not cultivate your temple's heart technique? Prince An asked. Su Ning said, yes. Sigh. What a pity. Prince An shook his head. Does that mean he could not cultivate? Yes. Su Ning nodded slowly. Then forget it. Prince An sighed and showed a helpless expression. Seems like the heavens really do not want me to get what I want. Even if he were to acknowledge his ancestors and become his son, he would rather not have a useless person who could not cultivate. If he could not cultivate, there was no need to talk about anything else. After he became the emperor, he only had one prince and he could not cultivate. How could a prince like this inherit the throne and become an enlightened master? That was why he had no chance of inheriting the throne. Your Royal Highness, I will go back to the temple to take a look. Su Ning said, the head chief must have thought of this when he told you this news. There might be some changes. Very well. I will wait for the revered sir's news. Prince An nodded slowly. The setting sun dyed the snow-crescent lake a magnificent golden red. It was like a large piece of cloud brocade swaying. In the gazebo on the snow-crescent lake, Shining-Hu sat in a dark green gown. Her left hand supported her chin as she stared at the lake. Her face was expressionless and her eyes were dazed. It was as if her soul had left her body and floated to a faraway place. Chu Li's sudden appearance had startled her. She slowly turned her head and glanced at Chu Li. You're here again. Chu Li gave a fist salute. Senior. You don't come to the temple for no reason. You're not here just to see Xiaoqi, are you? Shining-Hu glanced at him. Let me tell you something. She's injured. Chu Li was startled and quickly sat opposite her. Shining-Hu said, I was too rash. The regal sword scripture backfired, so I was injured. Why? Chu Li frowned. Isn't it you? Shining-Hu snorted. She went back to the residence and saw you. When she came back, her heart was restless and restless. She kept suppressing it, but the more she suppressed it, the worse it got. Chu Li's heart was filled with complicated emotions. It seemed like she was pretending to be calm. The regal sword scripture was not that powerful, so it could not completely cut off her emotions. He sighed. Are you all right? It's okay for now, but it's hard to say in the future. Shining-Hu frowned and stood up gracefully. She stretched her beautiful body and sighed. Love is the hardest thing to tame in the world. It's soft yet strong. It's so hard to tame it. Chu Li did not say anything. Shining-Hu said, she still has feelings for you and has been suppressing it. After seeing you, sigh, for her own good, it's better not to see her. Chu Li said, Senior, I want to know, if she was in an environment like 100,000 Hills, would it be easier for her to become an enlightened master? 100,000 Hills. Shining-Hu frowned and muttered. She leaned on the railing and looked at the lake in the distance. The evening wind blew gently, ruffling her hair. Chu Li looked at her without blinking. Shining-Hu thought for a while and shook her head. The reason why her regal sword scripture is so amazing and has a high chance of reaching the enlightened master's boundary is because it relies very little on the outside world. The lack of spiritual energy does not affect her much. The key is still her state of mind. Chu Li frowned. If that was the case, there was no need for her to go to Spirit Crane's Peak for isolated cultivation. Shining-Hu sighed. The strength of her heart is the foundation of her advancement, not spiritual energy. The key is her state of mind. If she can maintain the state of regal oblivion, then she can smoothly enter the enlightened master's boundary. If she can't maintain her state of mind, it's useless even if she enters the depths of 100,000 Hills. If that's the case, I can't appear in front of her. Chu Li sighed. Shining-Hu said, Actually, I have an idea. Chu Li looked at her. You might as well get married. Shining-Hu smiled faintly. Chu Li hurriedly waved his hand. Senior, please don't joke around. After you get married, you can separate. Shining-Hu said, Why is the love between a man and a woman so intense? It's because you can't get it. Once you get it, it won't be so intense and it will quickly become dull. Chu Li shook his head. Senior, this is not appropriate. You're afraid of losing it after you get it. It's not regal oblivion, it's weariness. He vaguely grasped the trick of regal oblivion. In order to become an enlightened master, strong feelings were needed. Then, this feeling had to be cut off. The power that would be stimulated from this would be the driving force to push the boundary. If the feelings were dull, there would be no power. Otherwise, the regal sword scripture would be too easy to cultivate. Just let a little girl not see men since she was young and hide in the mountains. It would be easy to cultivate it. You're right. Shining-Hu thought about it. All right, then forget it. Chuli was a little melancholic. Actually, it would have been good to get married, but unfortunately, he rejected it. Shining-Hu pursed her lips and smiled. Looks like you're not lusting after her beauty. Chuli smiled bitterly. Senior, you only know now. I'm really grateful. Shining-Hu rolled her eyes at him. Say it, what else do you want? Is she all right? She's fine now. Shining-Hu said. I don't know what will happen in the future. Anyway, it's best if you don't see her. All right. Chuli sighed and suppressed his melancholy. He said calmly, I want to ask for a favor, Senior. Speak, Shining-Hu said. I want to let 2 more people enter the surpassing state, Chuli said. Shining-Hu frowned. 2. Chuli nodded slowly. What Jiang Kuai needed the most now was to achieve a breakthrough in the surpassing realm. Xueling was almost perfected under the activation of his concentration talisman during this period of time, so she could try to achieve a breakthrough. Shining-Hu glared at him and said, You really know how to cause trouble. I can't make the decision on this matter. I'll have to discuss it with the pavilion master. Just wait. Chuli said, From what I know, Snow Lunar Pavilion lacks a type of metal spirit grass. Shining-Hu's eyes flickered as she scoffed. I heard from Xiaoqi that you're good at planting spiritual herbs. Can you really get a metal spiritual herb? How many do you need? Chuli asked. Of course, the more the better, Shining-Hu said. Chuli shook his head and laughed. Shining-Hu said, All right, I'll talk to the pavilion master. Chuli gave a fist salute. Shining-Hu flew up and crossed the snow crescent lake, heading straight for the main hall in the distance. On the other hand, Chuli sat in the gazebo and enjoyed the scenery. He was sure that Snow Lunar Pavilion would agree. Recently, the High Duke's public house had shown signs of prosperity. The 2 public houses united by marriage. In addition to a few operations, they had established a strong deterrent. The martial arts factions were intimidated and did not dare to cause trouble anymore. It could be said that they had entered a period of peace. Snow Lunar Pavilion's nemesis, the Green Hill, had been dealt a heavy blow by the High Duke's public house. It could be considered as helping Snow Lunar Pavilion vent their anger. They would be indebted to them. Moreover, there was the metal spiritual herb in exchange. Chapter 511. P.S. Thank you for everyone's support, I can't thank you enough. After a quarter of an hour, Shining-Hu floated over and glided across the lake. She landed in the pagoda with a faint fragrance. Chuli stood up and smiled. How was it? Yes, the pavilion leader agreed. Shining-Hu chuckled. 100 golden spirit grass per person, how's that? 100. Chuli smiled bitterly. It's not that easy to get the golden spirit grass. Don't give me that. Shining-Hu said impatiently. It might be difficult for others, but it's a piece of cake for you. Chuli sighed. All right then, 100 it is. Is there anyone else? Shining-Hu said. Up to 5, no problem. Consider it as me returning the favor to the House of High Dukes. Green Hill had a good fight. Chuli smiled. All right, I won't hold back then. I'll give you 3 more in the future. That's good, Shining-Hu said, but do you have that many grandmasters? To break through to grandmaster, one needed to be perfected innate, which was not easy to achieve. Chuli smiled and nodded. Only the people from the House of High Dukes, Shining-Hu said. Others can't be trusted. Of course, Chuli nodded. Shining-Hu stretched and sat by the stone table. Is that it? I want some seeds of the golden spirit grass, Chuli said. Shining-Hu took out a pouch from her sleeves and tossed it over. Chuli caught it and closed fist saluted. I'll take my leave then. Go. Shining-Hu waved her hand and looked at the lake. Chu looked at the loneliness in her graceful figure and sighed. He closed fist, saluted, and disappeared. He appeared at the spirit crane's peak. As the sun rose, the spirit crane's peak became lively. Tired birds returned to the forest and chirped non-stop. The two little cranes immediately rushed over and played with him. Their beaks became sharper and their growth speed was much faster than a human's cultivation. It was amazing. Chu did not know how long he could maintain his advantage. The two little cranes cooperated more and more. They attacked and covered each other. Their speed and strength were growing rapidly every day. It would not take long for them to surpass him, even if he had many divine skills. The two adult spirit cranes were nowhere to be seen. They seemed to be at ease with the two little cranes. After playing with them, Chu let them play by themselves and scattered the seeds of the metallic spirit grass under the tree. The metal spirit grass liked the shade and could not stand direct sunlight. If it was exposed to sunlight, it would die within noon. After scattering the seeds, he sat under a tree and lay down on a patch of lush green grass, looking up at the twilight sky. Initially, he planned to bring Shao-Chi here to cultivate in isolation. This place was more conducive to cultivation, but her plan did not work now. What Shao-Chi wanted to do was not to stay in 100,000 Hills, but to stay away from him. He couldn't help but sigh as a sense of melancholy lingered in his heart. Lying here, it was as if he had entered another world. All the schemes, the mutual wariness and struggle with Princeton, the wild ambition towards the secret guardian's hall, and the desire to become an enlightened master seemed to have been thrown to the back of his mind. There was only peace in his heart. If he abandoned everything and entered seclusion here, would he be able to reach the heavenly god realm in the shortest time? As soon as this thought came to mind, it grew uncontrollably. If he could isolate himself from the rest of the world and focus on cultivation, after he became an enlightened master, he could go to Shao-Chi and win her heart again. Then, he could hide here or live in Chongming Town. Thinking of such a wonderful life, he could not help but smile. After a while, he slowly became clear-headed. Unfortunately, he could only think about it. The heavenly demonic power that he cultivated could not be cultivated by himself. No matter how much he cultivated, he could not advance to the next level. He needed to fight with a master who was slightly better than him. By devouring the inner energy of these masters, the heavenly demonic power would slowly become stronger. If he did not fight with others, he would not become an enlightened master even if he cultivated for 1,000 years. His path to becoming an enlightened master could only be continuously fought with masters from all sides. Thud! Suddenly, a long and thin black thing fell from the sky, and a clear cry came from the sky. Chu saw the spirit crane flying across the sky and dropping something. He smiled. This time, he did not know what delicious food it would give him. A black shadow shot close to him. He was shocked. He suddenly disappeared and appeared 3 steps away. A 3-meter-long black snake as thick as an arm raised its head. It hissed and stuck out its tongue. The flat head of the snake was frightening. Chu let out a sigh of relief. The spirit crane actually gave him this thing to eat. He really did not have the fortune to enjoy it. He did not like to eat snakes. Hiss! The black snake suddenly shot over. Chu spat out his palm energy. Chi! The black snake swung its tail in the air and easily broke through the solid palm energy. In an instant it was in front of Chu. It was as fast as lightning. Chu took a step to the side and avoided it. This black snake could actually break through the palm energy. Most of the Grandmaster's methods were useless. The black snake swung its tail again. It turned in the air and shot over again. In an instant it was in front of him. Chu could smell the stench in its mouth. With no other choice, he disappeared from where he stood in a flash and reappeared 10 meters away. The black snake landed on the ground and shot towards him again. It was as fast as lightning and appeared in front of him in an instant. Chu scoffed. The modesty sword turned into a dark brilliance and stabbed fiercely. Ding! The sound of metal clashing was heard. The modesty sword shook. A huge force came from the sword and it was about to fall out of Chu Li's hand. Chu Li was secretly shocked by the strength of this snake and the toughness of its skin. The modesty sword that could cut through iron like mud did not leave a mark on its body. The ferocious head of the snake was in front of him again. The stench assaulted his nostrils. As Chu Li retreated, a flying blade shot out. Ding! The snake closed its eyes. The flying blade hit its eyelid. It was as if it had hit a piece of iron. It flew to the side. The black snake did not slow down. It rushed towards his throat and bit. Chu Li disappeared again in a flash. He appeared behind the black snake and reached out to grab the snake's tail. He wanted to swing it hard. It was said that if he swung it hard, his joints would be broken and he would be limp. The snake's tail suddenly swung and hit his right palm. Bam! He staggered 2 steps back. The huge force from the snake's tail made him lose his balance. Chu Li did not believe it. He rushed forward and struck with his palm again. The Shura palm was as fast as lightning. Bam! Perhaps his palm was faster and the black snake could not dodge in time. Perhaps it was too lazy to dodge. The snake's tentacles were tough and slippery. It was wet and cold. A strange feeling welled up in his heart. He had goosebumps all over his body. He felt that his palm energy could not enter the snake's body. The snake's skin was covered with several layers of scales. The layers of inner energy could not penetrate it no matter how strong it was. Bam 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 bam. Chu Li was determined. He pushed the Shura palm to its limit. He struck more than 10 times in one breath, hitting the same spot. The black snake fell to the ground with a bam. It shot forward again. It was not affected at all. It was not injured. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. He originally thought that it would not take much effort to deal with such a snake. He did not expect it to be so difficult to deal with. It was invulnerable and could not be penetrated by palm energy. The black snake approached him again. With the omniscient mirror, Chu Li's brain spun quickly. He calculated its trajectory. When the black snake was close, Chu Li's modesty sword stabbed upwards. It was accurate and ruthless. The black snake suddenly turned its body. Its lower abdomen became its back. Ding! The modesty sword was bounced off. Chu Li's sword was extremely accurate. It was supposed to hit its target, but he still did not manage to stab it. If he had stabbed it 7 inches away, he might have been able to kill it. Unfortunately, it was extremely fast and vigilant. Chu Li's sword did not leave its 7 inches. He pushed his body technique to the limit. Ding 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 ding, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The black snake avoided the 7 inches easily every time. In the blink of an eye, Chu Li stabbed more than 100 times. He could not do anything to the black snake. Hiss! The speed of the black snake suddenly increased. In an instant it was right in front of him. It opened its mouth at an exaggerated angle, wanting to swallow him whole in an instant. Chu Li did not retreat. He swung his left hand. Chapter 5:12. The blade was condensed by him. It instantly pierced through the soft flesh and entered the snake's body. Pure inner energy was released from the blade and destroyed the surroundings. The snake's body stiffened and fell softly at his feet. Chu Li let out a long sigh of relief. If the blade did not work, he would have been bitten. He looked up at the spirit cranes on the tree. They were looking at him. Their eyes were full of energy like jewels, shining brightly. Chu Li shook his head and smiled bitterly. He was not lucky enough to enjoy this food. However, he knew that it must be good stuff. Such a powerful snake must be very nourishing. This snakeskin could be made into soft armor that could block a grandmaster. It was a treasure. He held the snake's body and did not let it drag on the ground. He closed fist saluted and appeared in the public house. Xiao Shi was playing the guzheng in the pagoda. When she saw him, the sound of the guzheng did not stop. She glanced at the snake in his hand and frowned at him. Chuli brought the snake directly to the kitchen maid. He used the heavenly demonic power to wave the modesty sword to peel off the snake's skin. He then cut it into small pieces the size of a palm. This snakeskin was special. It could be used as a heart protection mirror to protect the heart. Masters usually kill people at the heart. At the crucial moment, it could be blocked. As long as Seo Shur had this on her heart, she would have the chance to crush the Sarira beads. He could then rush over and take her away. If there were more of these snakes in the future, he could get a few more. That way, he could use pieces of snakeskin to make a vest. He ate half of the snake's gallbladder and gave the other half to Seo Shur. After eating, there was a clear air surrounding his eyes. He felt comfortable and his vision became clearer. He could see his surroundings more clearly and vividly. The details he saw were richer and more beautiful than before. His strength had also increased. Seo Shur's strength had increased by almost half. After eating the snake's meat, his body changed slightly. His vigor increased. The heavenly demonic orb flew out and absorbed the vitality in his body. The vitality from the snake's meat was really pure and strange. The heavenly demonic orb liked it very much. Seeing this, he was overjoyed. He had another way to cultivate the heavenly demonic power. It seemed like there were countless treasures in the 10,000 mountains. Unfortunately, he only dared to stay at the Spirit Crane's peak and did not dare to go anywhere else. Seeing how a black snake was able to stump him, he knew how dangerous the 10,000 mountains was. It was better not to go. He was looking forward to visiting the Spirit Crane's peak often to see what good food the Spirit Cranes would give him. After eating the snake's gallbladder and meat, Seo Shur's eyes, which were originally like deep pools, became even more abstruse. One look at her was enough to be hooked by her eyes, and one could not extricate themselves from them. Her skin was becoming more and more delicate and smooth, and he wished he could reach out and touch it. How is it? Both of them were full and Chuli sighed comfortably. The lights in the pavilion were as bright as day. Seo Shur's beauty was out of this world. She wiped the corner of her mouth with a silk handkerchief and gave him a sidelong glance. Why did you run off on your own? Chuli replied, I'm here to relieve my boredom. Humph, you're thinking about your sister again, aren't you? Seo Shur smiled faintly. She wants to forget about you, so why don't you take a gamble and forget about her? Chuli laughed. Xiao Shur scoffed. I think that's all you've got. Yes, I'm not capable, Chuli laughed. You're very capable in front of me, but you're a different person in front of my sister, Seo Shur said. You're really disappointing. Chuli smiled. Maybe it's a habit. When he was with Seo Shur, he was relaxed and natural. He did not treat her like a lady, they were close but not respectful. In front of Seo Chi it was different. Although his actions were calm and composed, the feelings in his heart were different. There was a hint of respect in his adoration. Having her gave him a sense of satisfaction. Hugging her was like having the whole world. Seo Shur scoffed. You two are so annoying. You can't be together, yet you still think about each other. You're asking for trouble. If people can really control their own thoughts, then they're really Buddha. Chuli shook his head. When will Lady Seo return? He mentioned the conversation with Prince and, will Suan be in danger? Seo Shur frowned. He's still a child. It's not a good thing for him to enter the imperial residence. Once the fight for the throne becomes intense, someone might take the risk. As long as Suan was eliminated, Prince An would be finished. It was very tempting. Chuli shook his head. I don't think the Titanium Temple will let him go. Suan is now a disciple of the Titanium Temple. The temple rules cannot be violated. He can't leave the temple without divine powers. That's good. Seo Shur let out a sigh of relief. Chuli said, if Suan can't cultivate divine powers, he can stay in the Titanium Temple. It's very safe. If he can cultivate divine powers, he can protect himself when he leaves the temple. I'll go back tomorrow, Seoshur scoffed. If I don't go back, I don't know what will happen to the imperial residence. All right, I'll go back tomorrow, Chuli nodded. He returned to his courtyard and called Jiang Kuai and Xueling over. He instructed them to go to the Snow Lunar Pavilion for isolated cultivation. Jiang Kuai could change his appearance and go to the Snow Lunar Pavilion. No one would notice. Chuli sent Xueling there. Suru and Li Hanyan were there, so he was not afraid that she would be lonely. In the early morning, 4 riders in gray shirts arrived outside the fairy's capital. They stopped by the roadside on their horses and looked at the fairy's capital. They had no intention of going in. They talked on their horses. This is the fairy's capital. It's really grand. Although it can't be compared to our side. A young rider with a long face looked at the fairy's capital. He exclaimed, but each has its own beauty. This time, I must take a good look around. He was about 25 or 26 years old. His face was a lot thinner than the average person. His eyes were long and narrow. He was not considered handsome, but he had a unique charm. Young Zhang, the mission is completed. You have all the time in the world. A square-faced elder smiled. You have all the time in the world. You can walk as long as you want until you're done. If you don't want to walk anymore, you can walk back. He was short and had a square face. He spoke in a serious manner. Masters Junior Zhao, it's a deal. The long-faced young man smiled. I'll take it seriously. When have I ever gone back on my word? The square-faced elder waved his hand. Don't worry, I promise. A triangular-faced elder scoffed. It's too early to talk about this. Let's think about how to kill him. That's easy. The long-faced young man smiled. Let's just barge in and kill him. It'll save us a lot of trouble. The triangular-faced elder stared at him coldly. Zhang Lingfeng, can you use your brain? Do you think that the fairy's capital is a place where you can enter and leave whenever you want? It's easy to get in but difficult to get out. Masters Junior Qi, what's so difficult about it? Are we not allowed to come out? The long-faced young man was puzzled. No way? Naive. Childish. Qi Zimo sneered. The fairy's capital's secret guardian's hall is not a place that does nothing. Once a grandmaster enters, he'll be monitored. The 4 of us will be watched. So be it. Once we kill him, we'll run. Do you think they'll chase us all the way to Amethyst Mountain? Zhang Lingfeng was not to be outdone. He did not care about the secret guardian's hall at all. In front of his light body technique, the masters of the secret guardian's hall were a joke. If one of them could not kill Chuli, the 4 of them together would be foolproof. The round-faced young man, who had been silent all this while, slowly said, It's not easy to kill Chuli. It's best to be careful. All right, Senior Li, what do you think we should do? Zhang Lingfeng said. The round-faced young man said, We'll listen to Masters Junior Zhao and Masters Junior Qi. Chapter 513. This brat can kill Junior Brother Mo, you two can't be careless. Zhao Jiang said, or else you'll end up like Junior Brother Mo. Masters Junior Zhao, he's about the same age as us. How can he be so powerful? Zhang Lingfeng was unconvinced. I think he's not alone. He must have a helper. It's highly possible. Qi Zimo touched his chin. It's hard to guarantee that there won't be any helpers this time. If you're careless and fall into his hands again, the Amethyst Mountain will lose all its face. We've lost most of our face now. Zhao Jiang scoffed. We tried to kill him time and time again, but when we failed to kill him, he killed us instead, causing them to have to cultivate from the beginning. If we fail again this time, we will be the sinners of the Amethyst Mountain. Yes. Zhang Lingfeng and Li Gu, who had been silent all this while, replied sternly. This time I plan to use a trick, Zhao Jiang said. He glanced at the 3 of them and saw that they were listening quietly. He continued, Lure him out of the fairy's capital and the 4 of us will join forces to kill him. Zhang Lingfeng said, Masters Junior Zhao, Luring him out of the fairy's capital is troublesome. Can't we just go in? Nonsense, Zhao Jiang scoffed. He's from the secret guardians' hall. He'll know once we go in. He'll be on guard with a few grandmasters by his side. How are we going to make a move? It's just a few grandmasters. Zhang Lingfeng said, we can come and go as we please. What if we fight? Zhao Jiang said, if he's so easy to kill, he'd be long dead. Once we're in a stalemate, those grandmasters can take our lives. Don't tell me you think you're invincible? We can retreat at any time. Zhang Lingfeng said. Retreat and then kill? Zhao Jiang said impatiently. I want to kill him in one shot, not waste time. Yes. Zhang Lingfeng nodded helplessly. Indeed, this plan was safer. But how do we lure him out? The person he cares about the most is Princess Xiao. Zhao Jiang said, Princess Xiao doesn't know martial arts. As long as we capture her, he can only come over obediently. Yes, yes. Qi Zimo rubbed his chin and nodded. Although this plan isn't that honorable, it's aimed at his weakness. Good, very good. Who's going to capture Princess Xiao? Zhang Lingfeng said, I'll do it. Li Gu, you go, Zhao Jiang said. Zhang Lingfeng hurriedly said, Marshal Uncle Zhao, I can handle this small matter. There's no need for Senior Marshal Brother Li. You're too impatient. I'm worried. Zhao Jiang snorted. Zhang Lingfeng chuckled and said, Marshal Uncle Zhao, for such a big matter, I will be steady and not rash. All right, bring her here tonight. Remember, don't be rude. Zhao Jiang said in a deep voice, we are a righteous faction, not a bunch of perverts. This is just a plan to lure Chu Li out. Don't hurt Princess Xiao. Yes, I won't hurt her. Zhang Lingfeng hurriedly nodded, afraid that Zhao Jiang would change his mind. I heard that Princess Xiao is the most beautiful woman in the great Ji dynasty. Write a letter. In the letter, tell Chu Li to come here alone, or else he will kill Princess Xiao, Zhao Jiang said in a low voice. Are you really going to kill Princess Xiao? Zhang Lingfeng hastily asked. Zhao Jiang glared at him. Why would you kill such a weak girl? Scare Chu Li. Yes. Zhang Lingfeng hurriedly nodded and let out a sigh of relief. Song Luiying reclined on the couch reading. She saw Ling Qing walking in with light step. Her fair forehead was still wet. She frowned and said, You're training so late again. Yes, it's quite fun. Ling Qing came to the couch and sat down. She smiled and said, My whole body is relaxed. Mother, you should also train. My old arms are helping my old legs. Why would I train martial arts? Song Luiying shook her head and picked up her book. The head chief is not here. What's the use of you going to his courtyard? It's comfortable there. Ling Qing smiled and said, The air in the head chief's courtyard is especially fresh. The flowers and plants are very lush. In short, it's very comfortable to stay there. Really? Song Luiying shook her head and disagreed. The head chief's courtyard was not built by him. It was just temporarily allocated by the public house. It was no different from the courtyard beside it. It was especially comfortable. Thinking about it, he was worried. Could the girl be tempted? If you train for a month, can you really defeat Ling Tao? Of course. I don't think it's possible. Song Luiying smiled and said, It's better not to have such high hopes. However, training in this swordsmanship is indeed much more solid. Humph, we can definitely defeat him. Ling Qing gritted her teeth and scoffed. This scoundrel. If we don't teach him a lesson, we won't be able to vent this anger in our hearts. All right, I support you in your revenge. However, if you can't train for a month, then 2 months. Song Luiying said. Anyway, that Ling Tao is stubborn and mischievous. He won't concentrate on training. We will be able to catch up to him. Ling Qing said, The head chief has already said that he will teach him a lesson in a month. Moreover, if you don't have the determination to cut off all means of retreat, you won't be able to master any swordsmanship. All right. I can't win against you in an argument. Song Luing waved her hand and said, "Hurry up and go rest." "Yes. Mother, you should rest early too." Lung Qing stood up. Song Luing shook her head and smiled after she left gracefully. Ever since she started practicing swordsmanship, Lung Qing's temperament was much more cheerful. She was not as lifeless and cold as before. From this aspect, she liked Ling Qing's swordsmanship training. She picked up the book again. After reading for a while, she felt tired. She let the maids leave and slowly laid on the bed. She extinguished the light. Not long after she laid down, her body suddenly froze. She could not move at all. Following that, a black shadow appeared beside the bed. She widened her eyes and opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out. Zhang Lingfeng looked at her face and nodded. She was indeed beautiful. However, the great Ji dynasty's #1 beauty was a little exaggerated. He helped Song Luing up and passed through the courtyard silently. They left the imperial residence of King An and quickly arrived at a forest outside the city. Deep in the dense forest, the four of them gathered and sized up Song Luing under the moonlight. "This is Princess Xiao?" Zhao Jiang sized up Song Luing and frowned without saying a word. Qi Zimo also rubbed his chin and sized her up. Li Gu remained silent and did not say a word. "I'm afraid it's not Princess Xiao," Qi Zimo said. "Princess Xiao should be even younger. This one has the most grandeur." Zhang Lingfeng said, "Isn't she the princess?" "That's not right." Qi Zimo shook his head and suddenly patted Song Luing. "You're Princess Xiao? Who are you?" Song Luing frowned and looked at them. Her almond-shaped eyes were threatening. "Don't make a mistake. Send me back and pretend this never happened. You're indeed a princess. You have guts." Qi Zimo laughed. "Are you Princess Xiao?" "I am Song Luing." Song Luing said lightly. "Oh, then you're Princess Song." Qi Zimo shook his head and looked at Zhang Lingfeng. "Look at your ability. You can't even catch the wrong person." "Then what should we do?" Zhang Lingfeng scratched his head in embarrassment. "I've never seen Princess Xiao before. Why don't we send her back?" Chapter 514. P.S. The 20th Guild Leader has been born, and the Guild Leader knows everything. Of course not. Zhang Lingfeng immediately puffed out his chest and patted it hard. "I don't believe it. There are still 2 more princesses in the imperial residence of King An. I will definitely get the right one. Go." Qi Zimo waved his hand. "Don't cause trouble. Don't complicate matters." "Yes." Zhang Lingfeng floated away. Zhao Jiang shook his head and said, "You shouldn't have let him go. It would have been better to let Li Gu go." Li Gu's qinggong is still a notch below Lingfeng's. Qi Zimo looked at Li Gu. "Isn't that right?" "Yes." Li Gu said calmly, "My qinggong is indeed inferior to junior brother Zhang. I'm really worried about him." Zhao Jiang shook his head and sighed. "What if he catches the wrong person again? There are 3 princesses in total. How can he capture all of them wrongly?" Qi Zimo laughed. "You are underestimating Ling Feng too much." "I hope so." Zhao Jiang shook his head and looked at Song Luing. "Princess Song, please forgive us. We don't want to do anything to you. We'll send you back at dawn." "What do you want?" Song Luing asked calmly. Now that she had experience with these things, she knew that she could not panic, and it seemed that they did not have the intention to kill. "What do they want?" "We need to talk to Chu Li, head chief." Song Luing frowned. "Head chief is not here." "Then where is he?" Zhao Jiang scoffed. "Don't think that just because you say he's not here, we won't look for him. The head chief is really not here," Song Luing said. "Otherwise, the person just now would not have barged into the residence." Hee, it seems like you admire Chu Li a lot." Qi Zimo laughed. "His martial arts is quite good, but how good is it? I don't know how powerful the head chief is, but I know that it won't be a problem for him to kill you," Song Luing said lightly. "I will plead with the head chief to spare your lives." Thank you for your kindness, Princess Song." Qi Zimo laughed strangely. Zhao Jiang snorted, "Where did he go?" "The head chief is busy. He might have gone to the secret guardians' hall." Song Luing shook her head and said, "He's not in the residence tonight." "Forget it." Zhao Jiang sighed. "It doesn't matter if he's not here. As long as we capture Princess Xiao, he will naturally come." "Princess Xiao is not here either," Song Luing said. "Princess Xiao is not here too," Song Luing said. "Princess Song, don't lie to me." "Yes." Song Luing looked at him calmly, trying not to agitate him. "Princess Xiao has returned to the House of Duke." "Damn it," Qi Zimo said, "that Ling Feng can catch it?" As they spoke, Zhang Lingfeng floated over with another woman in his arms. He smiled and said, "Uncle Master Zhao, Uncle Master Qi, we can't go wrong this time." Li Zhao 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 Zhao. Zhang Zhang. Zhao Jiang looked the girl in. "Who is this?" Zhao Jiang looked at Song Luing. "Li Xt Zhang 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 Wang Song Li Zhang Li Song. Zhang Song. Song Zhang Song Song Princess, wrong again. Zhang. Wrong. Zhang. Wrong? Zhang 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 Zhang. Wrong again?" Zhang Lingfeng's eyes widened. "Princess Xiao is not in the mansion," Qi Zimo said snappily. "Where are you going to find her?" "Senior brother Zhao, what should we do?" He turned his head and asked Zhao Jiang, "Chuli isn't here either. What's the point of capturing them?" Zhao Jiang scoffed, "The two of them are fine too. Chuli is the head chief, how can he not come?" "That's true." Qi Zimo laughed and said, "If he doesn't come, he'll be too incompetent as the chief steward, hee hee." "The head chief isn't here, it's useless even if you catch us," Song Luing said. "The secret guardians' hall will soon be alerted, you have to be careful." Zhang Lingfeng laughed nonchalantly. "Ha, the secret guardians' hall is nothing. They better not ask for trouble." "Ling Feng, go and change the letter. If Chuli doesn't come tomorrow night, we'll kill him." Zhao Jiang scoffed. "All right." Zhang Lingfeng smiled and said, "What bullsh *T royal residence, it's like a sieve. Marshal Uncle Zhao, Marshal Uncle Qi, you're being too careful." "Yum? Gather? Graceful and lofty closed you?" Another frame. Zhang Lingfeng disappeared into thin air, like a drop of water falling into a lake. "Your Royal Highness." Zheng Lide arrived outside the cultivation courtyard. Separated by the courtyard door, he bowed and probed. He asked carefully, "Your Royal Highness?" Prince An's voice came from inside. "What's the matter?" "Princess Song and Princess Shui both disappeared last night." Zheng Lide wiped his forehead. There was already a thin layer of sweat. "Come in," Prince An said in a deep voice. Zheng Lide held a letter and carefully pushed the door open. Prince An stared at him gloomily. Zheng Lide presented the letter with both hands. "It's to find trouble with the head chief." Prince An took the letter, glanced at it, and said coldly, "The two princesses disappeared?" "Yes." Zheng Lide did not dare to wipe the sweat on his forehead. He said in a low voice, "When I woke up in the morning, I found out that they were gone. They left this behind." In other words, someone kidnapped the two princesses last night. Prince An looked at him coldly, "And the protectors in the residence didn't even notice?" "Yes." Zheng Lide said in a low voice, "I'm useless. They're just people who have nothing better to do." Prince An sneered, "No one will believe this. What has the imperial residence become? Anyone can come and go as they please. Even the princesses were kidnapped, but no one noticed." Zheng Lide lowered his head and said nothing. Prince An scoffed, "Where's the head chief?" "The head chief wasn't here last night." Zheng Lide quickly said. "Where did he go?" Prince An said impatiently, "He's not here when it's the most important time." Zheng Lide said, "The head chief said he went to pick up the princesses. He'll be back today. When will he arrive?" Prince An scoffed. Suddenly, Song Sansi's report came from outside. "Your Royal Highness, the head chief is back. Ask the head chief to come over." Prince An said coldly, "Yes." Song Sansi's voice faded away. Chu Li quickly walked in. He was in high spirits. He closed fist saluted. Your Royal Highness, Commander Zheng is here too. Take a look. Prince An passed the letter to Zheng Lide. Zheng Lide presented it to Chu Li. Chu Li glanced at it, his face darkened. Looks like they want to kill me. Were the two princesses really kidnapped? Yes. Zheng Lide sighed. Chu Li looked at the letter and nodded. All right, leave this matter to me, I'll save the two princesses. If they suffer even a little bit of damage, I'll settle the score with you. Prince An said, You've failed in your duty as the head chief, you can forget about it. Yes. Chu Li closed fist saluted. Don't worry, Your Royal Highness. He turned and looked at Zheng Lide. Bring 6 protectors here to protect Your Royal Highness, the rest go to the princesses. Yes. Zheng Lide quickly nodded. Prince An did not comment at the side, he just watched him command. Chu Li closed fist saluted and left. Zheng Lide quickly followed and began to mobilize the protectors. As Chu Li walked, he was thinking about who did it. Was it the Holy Church of Light, Amethyst Mountain, or some other martial arts faction? It was obvious that there was an ambush waiting for him. The heavenly demonic orb fell into his precordium, then he activated the all-seeing divine power and instantly appeared in a forest. It was a dense forest, there was a clearing in the forest. Song Luiying and Xuaningyu were sitting on a green boulder that looked like a bed, the acupuncture points on their legs were not unsealed, they were sitting and talking elegantly. Li Gu leaned against a tree to keep watch, the other 3 were cultivating in the forest. Chapter 5:15. Chu Li was a mile away from them, using the omniscient mirror to size up Song Luiying and Xuaningyu. The 2 women were calm, as if they were taking a stroll in spring, chatting. Will the head chief come over? If he's in the public house he will, but he's not. These people are here to die again. There will always be people who come to die, one after another. It can't be helped, they don't want to live peacefully. These few days, Qing'er has been practicing her swordsmanship. Yes, she's practicing very seriously. How's Qiu Er practicing? She's been practicing that move all day long. I don't think it'll be easy to deal with Ling Tao. The last time she fought with the Protector, she couldn't even take one move. Qiu Er is very confident. Xuaningyu shook her head and sighed. She's really been bullied by Ling Tao. As her mother, I'm useless, I can't get justice. Luckily, there's the head chief. She was most grateful to Chu Li. Her daughter was beaten, yet she could not do anything about it. This feeling was too torturous. Sometimes she wanted to pounce on Ling Tao and teach him a lesson, but she knew she couldn't beat him. Chu Li had taught Ling Tao a few lessons, which made her very grateful. The 2 chatted and talked about their daughter, feeling much calmer. Li Gu, who was watching them from afar, closed his eyes. He sat under a tree root, leaning against the tree as if he had fallen asleep, but he was listening to them. This was a different world. It turned out that the princess's world was nothing more than this. They were all family gossip, no different from wild women in the countryside. He smiled to himself. People were all the same, be it the emperor or the common people. Chu Li suddenly flashed and appeared beside the 2 women. He reached out and grabbed their waists, then suddenly disappeared. There was suddenly no movement around. Li Gu felt something was wrong and quickly opened his eyes to look. The green rock was empty, the 2 women who were sitting there had disappeared. He rushed up and shot towards the rock, his body tensed up. When he got closer, they were not hiding under the rock, there was indeed no trace of them. Masters Junior Zhao, Masters Junior Qi. As he shouted, he was on high alert. To be able to take them away without a sound, this person's light body technique was shocking. Zhao Jiang and the other 2 rushed over, saw the empty rock, then looked at Li Gu. Li Gu's face was red. They were just here. You left? I was sitting there the whole time. Li Gu pointed to where he was sitting. I just closed my eyes. When I opened them, I was gone. The 4 of them stood with their backs against each other, and turned their heads to look around. Chu Li, since you're here, come out, Zhao Jiang said in a deep voice. Saves us the trouble of going to Princess Xiao. If you don't come out, then don't even think about having a good night's sleep. Zhao Jiang shouted again. Chu Li appeared in the courtyard with the two women in his arms. Ling Qiu and Ling Qing were practicing their swordsmanship in the courtyard. When they saw the three people suddenly appear, they looked over in surprise. Mother, why are you here? Ling Qing and Ling Qiu asked. They came over to practice their swordplay before the sun rose. Song Luiying and Xuanning had not woken up yet, so naturally, they would not disturb them. They ate breakfast together after their morning practice. Song Luiying shook her head. Xuanning sighed. Looks like I really have to cultivate. Chu Li smiled and said, Princesses, I have implicated you. Song Luiying waved her hand and said, If it wasn't for you, we would have been dead long ago. You have to be careful of them, they are masters from Amethyst Mountain. Amethyst Mountain. Chu Li smiled and said, They are really haunting us. Xuanning said, Is Sister Xiao back? Yes, Chu Li nodded. Then let's stay here. Xuanning said. She was a little afraid. There were no more assassins for a while, so they went back to their original courtyard. Now they understood that it was better to stay by the head chief's side. Chu Li smiled and nodded. A bright moon hung in the sky. The lights in Tianshu courtyard were dim, everyone was asleep. Chu Li sat quietly at the stone table in Tianshu courtyard. There was a pot of wine, a white jade cup, a few dishes to go with the wine, and a plate of green beans. He drank while enjoying the moonlight, leisurely and carefree. Xiao Shi wore a loose moon-white robe. She walked out of the room and sat opposite him. They can come? Chu Li smiled and said, The disciples of Amethyst Mountain are so heroic, how can they not come? These people are really annoying, Xiao Shi scoffed and said. Think of a way to get rid of them once and for all, so that they don't pester us all day long. Chu Li pondered and said, It's not easy to get rid of them in one go. They have many masters, endless. I guess they are using me as a whetstone for their disciples. As he said this, he shook his head. He was always the whetstone for others. Humph, whetstone. Xiao Shi said, Can't you, the whetstone, smash the knife and let them know how powerful you are? Forget it this time, Chu Li said. I owe them a favor. For Sister Song and Sister Shui? They didn't offend them, it's rare, Chu Li said. I won't take their lives tonight. Then what else is there to fight? Here it comes. Chu Li suddenly said. He grabbed a handful of green beans from the plate and flicked one with his left hand. Smack. The green bean fell into the shadow at the corner and hit the wall. Smack. He flicked another one with his left hand and shot it into the shadow. Zhang Lingfeng, who was in the shadow, was shocked. This Chu Li could see through his Phantom Yin skill. Chu Li said, Come out, the Phantom Yin skill is useless against me. Why? Zhang Lingfeng slowly stood up from the shadow and revealed his body under the moonlight. How can you tell? Chu Li said lightly. Any light body technique like this is useless against me. As for why, I can't tell you. You used this to kill my master's junior MO? Zhang Lingfeng scoffed. Chu Li said, Those who are good at swimming will drown. The Amethyst Mountain relies too much on the Phantom Yin skill. It's easy to plot against you. Your Phantom Yin skill is very profound, looks like you are a genius in martial arts. I won't kill you today. If you don't kill me, I'll kill you. Zhang Lingfeng scoffed. He then looked at Xiao Shi. Xiao Shi's bright eyes sparkled like jewels under the moonlight, as deep as the night sky. Zhang Lingfeng was stunned and could not look away from her bright eyes. Xiao Shi said lightly, This is the disciple of the Amethyst Mountain? As expected of the first beauty of the great Ji dynasty. Zhang Lingfeng blushed and said embarrassedly. He then turned his gaze to Chu Li, his murderous intent slowly rising. Those who kill the disciple of the Amethyst Mountain must be killed. Take this. His body turned into a flash of light and instantly appeared in front of Chu Li, his heaven's thunder palm. In front of such a beauty, he wanted to show off his strongest side. He wanted to kill Chu Li with one palm and let Xiao Shi see his elegance, so he used his killer move. Chu Li sat by the stone table and steadily received the palm. As the palm energy surged into his meridians, the heavenly demonic orb appeared and swallowed it. Zhang Lingfeng frowned. Seeing Chu Li's calm expression, he felt that he must be holding it in. He knew the power of the heaven's thunder palm, no mortal body could withstand it. Chu Li took a sip of wine and shook his head. Your phantom Yin skill is profound, but your heaven's thunder palm is not. I'd like to see how many palms you can take. Zhang Lingfeng scoffed and another heaven's thunder palm came down. Chu Li still steadily received it, one hand holding the white jade cup. I'd like to see how many palms you can hit. Alright. Zhang Lingfeng did not believe it, palm after palm. He pushed the heaven's thunder palm to its limit. After more than 20 palms, Zhang Lingfeng's movements slowed down. He turned around and left. Chapter 5:16. Zhang Lingfeng disappeared into the night. Xiao Shi looked at him. You're letting him go just like that? Let him go. Chu Li shook his head and smiled. I'll spare his life. This doesn't match your style, Xiao Shi scoffed. Even if they didn't do anything to Sister Song or Sister Shui, they still wanted to kill you. Are you really going to let them go? Yes, Chu Li nodded. Your heart has softened. Xiao Shi smiled faintly. It's my sister's doing, right? Chu Li looked at her in annoyance. Xiao Shi pursed her lips and smiled. Your heart is so soft. You should go cultivate Buddhism. I'll settle the score with them sooner or later, Chu Li said lightly, but not now. He was still counting on their heaven's thunder palm and shadow thunder palm. Without their palm energy, how could his heavenly demonic power advance? Xiao Shi poured herself a glass of wine. You're just going to sit here tonight? Chu Li said. I think there will be people who won't accept it. Xiao Shi took a sip of wine. You want to beat them one by one? Chu Li nodded. Xiao Shi said, how boring. She looked up at the moon. Such a beautiful night and you guys want to fight and kill. How disappointing. Chu Li said, fighting and killing is also a form of entertainment. Why don't you go in and sleep first, lady? I can't sleep, I'll stay here, Xiao Shi said. She took another sip of wine. There are many fruits on the Spirit Crane's peak. How about we pick some to brew wine? That's a good idea, Chu Li nodded. There were many fruit trees on the Spirit Crane's peak. They didn't dare to pick them before because they were afraid that the Spirit Cranes would attack them. The Spirit Cranes probably wouldn't stop them now. Who knew if there would be strange fruit? The two of them talked for a while before another figure shot out from the shadows in the corner. Chu Li sat steadily and extended his palm to receive the attack. The person was Li Gu. He used his ultimate heaven's thunder palm without saying a word and struck more than 20 palms in one breath. Chu Li's expression didn't change. Li Gu turned and left. After 10 minutes, another figure came out. Qi Zimo was like a wisp of smoke as he appeared in front of Chu Li. His heaven's thunder palm was more advanced. He kept his mouth shut and seized every second to not give Chu Li a chance to catch his breath. The heavenly demonic orb continued to devour the orb. As he felt his progress, Chu Li's face turned red as if he was about to pass out from drunkenness. Qi Zimo saw the change in Chu Li's expression and was overjoyed. Chu Li's face was still red and his eyes were a little blurred, as if he was in a drunken state. Qi Zimo sighed helplessly and turned to leave. He was so close. As soon as he disappeared, Zhao Jiang came out again and used the heavenly thunder palm again. Rumble. Thunder rumbled faintly, as if the night sky was rolling with muffled thunder. He hit Chu Li 40 times in one go. Chu Li's flushed face turned sallow, as if he had not recovered from a serious illness. Zhao Jiang, however, had a bitter expression on his face. He floated backwards and hid in the shadows, disappearing without a trace. What's wrong with them? Xiao Shi looked at Chu Li in confusion. Why must they fight one-on-one? Can't they fight together? Chu Li said, they think that they'll be able to wear me down soon. His originally sallow complexion quickly recovered, his eyes regained clarity, and he revealed a smile. It was a huge gain. The heavenly demonic orb absorbed a huge amount of palm energy. The 4th level was pushed forward a little, closer to the 5th level. If this continued, after another 20 times, he would almost reach the 5th level. They must be very annoyed now. They should have just surrounded you. Xiao Shi picked up the white jade cup and shook her head. They underestimated your cunning. Chu Li smiled. If they surrounded me, then I'll do the same. I don't think they'll come again. Zhao Jiang and the other 3 gathered in the dense forest outside the city. They were all listless and the atmosphere was depressing. Zhao Jiang scoffed, "We've been tricked. Masters Junior Zhao, what should we do?" Zhang Lingfeng gritted his teeth, his face full of anger. "We've been tricked by him. This guy is too cunning." They thought that they could wear him down by taking turns, but in the end they were the ones who fell first. Fortunately, he did not want to kill them. Otherwise, the 4 of them might not be able to keep their lives. Just thinking about it made them feel like they were possessed. They wanted to wear him down, but they did not think about the consequences. The key was that he acted too well, as if he was going to fall at any time. Just one more palm and he would succeed. One palm after another, but he still managed to hold on. How strong is his skill? Li Gu said in a low voice. How can he take so many Heaven's Thunder Palms? They were puzzled. They knew the power of Heaven's Thunder Palms. A normal person could not even take 1 palm, but he took more than 100. Just thinking about it made them feel cold. It was as if the Heaven's Thunder Palms did not hit him at all. They could not imagine how he could take more than 100 Heaven's Thunder Palms. His martial arts can't be that strong, right? Qi Zimo frowned, or else he wouldn't have to take it head-on. He could have just knocked us down. Let's go. Zhao Jiang scoffed. Are we going back to the mountain with our tails between our legs? Qi Zimo asked. Can we kill him? If the 4 of us work together, there's still a glimmer of hope. Forget it. Zhao Jiang scoffed. If we really fight again, we won't be able to keep our lives. Sigh. This is too embarrassing, too suffocating. Zhang Lingfeng sighed. 4 of us can't take care of him. What should we say when we return to the mountain? This is embarrassing, and we're afraid of others talking about it. Zhao Jiang scoffed. We're no match for him. They had already used Heaven's Thunder Palms, but they still could not do anything to him. The Phantom Ean's skill was also useless against him, as if it was specially made to restrain them. Masters Junior Mo and the others will be very angry. Zhang Lingfeng said. Qi Zimo said, let's not talk about eldest brother. Even he lost, can't he allow others to lose too? Let's go. Zhao Jiang said in a low voice. Return to the mountain and report. Think of a way to take him down the mountain and make him a disciple of the Amethyst Mountain. Ah! Zhang Lingfeng's eyes widened. Zhao Jiang said, he can see through the Phantom Ean's skill and block the Heaven's Thunder Palms. This is the most suitable candidate to learn our Amethyst Mountain's martial art. We are enemies. Enemies or not, it can all be resolved. Junior brother Meng Jian and Masters Junior Mo died in his hands. They have to cultivate from the beginning. The sect will not interfere with the personal grudges of the disciples. Sigh. That depends on whether he is willing or not. Zhang Lingfeng said. Zhao Jiang said, as long as there is enough sincerity, he will definitely be willing. Our Amethyst Mountain is not the house of high dukes or the imperial residence of King An. Qi Zimo touched his chin and did not say a word. Li Gu said, Masters Junior Zhao, are we really going to lure him into the mountain? Zhao Jiang looked at Qi Zimo. Junior Qi, have you heard of it? Qi Zimo slowly said, yes, I didn't think that there would be such a talent in this world. What talent? Zhang Lingfeng quickly asked. Qi Zimo said, if he cultivates our Amethyst Mountain's martial arts, it will really complement each other. We will be able to become a top-notch master. Zhao Jiang nodded. The Holy Church of Light is growing stronger day by day. I'm afraid we can't stop their invasion of the south. We need to strengthen ourselves. Let's go back to the mountain, Qi Zimo said in a low voice. The next morning, Chu Li sat cross-legged on his bed. He slowly opened his eyes and saw Su and Su Ning and Su An appeared outside the cultivation courtyard. Behind them was a yellow-robed old monk. He was tall and burly, with a lion's nose and tiger's eyes. Chapter 5:17. Suan and Kong Fa followed Su Ning and slowly arrived outside the cultivation courtyard. Kong Fa's tall and sturdy body was as slow as a mountain. Every step he took seemed to shake the earth. Su Ning turned to look at Su and pressed his palms together quietly. Su Ning smiled and knocked on the door of the cultivation courtyard. He said slowly, Your Royal Highness, I'm back. Revered sir, please come in. King An's voice was heard. The courtyard door was quickly pulled open. King An stood at the door, his face full of surprise. He was stunned when he saw Suan and Kong Fa. His handsome face showed doubt and he looked at Su Ning. Su Ning pressed his palms together. Your Royal Highness, let's talk inside. All right. Revered sir, please come in. King An quickly opened the door and extended his hand to invite them in. Suan and Kong Fa pressed their palms together and slowly walked into the cultivation courtyard. Su Ning walked at the back and closed the courtyard door. He pressed his palms together and said, This is junior brother Suan. This is Master Kong Fa, junior brother Su An's master. Greetings, Your Royal Highness. Kong Fa's tall body bowed slightly and pressed his palms together. His voice was like muffled thunder as he said slowly, Sorry to disturb Your Royal Highness. No. Revered Sir Kong Fa is too courteous. King An pressed his palms together and smiled. Revered Sir, it is my honor to have you here. Please sit. You are too courteous, Your Royal Highness. Kong Fa sat by the stone table and was as calm as a mountain. Suan quietly stood beside him. King An also sat down and looked at Suan also looked at him quietly, without any sadness or joy. He already knew from Su Ning that he might be King An's son. However, he did not feel the slightest joy of meeting his father. He was just a simple stranger. His heart was unmoved and as calm as still water. King An was very satisfied with his calmness. This temperament was his own, and he had the bearing of a crown prince. Zheng lied. He raised his voice. Zheng Li's voice came from outside. Yes, Your Royal Highness. Go to the house of Deva and tell them I want to identify the bloodline. King An said in a low voice. Yes, Your Royal Highness. Zheng Li respectfully replied and quickly left. King An looked at Su Ning. Revered sir, the royal bloodline needs to be approved by the House of Deva. The House of Deva has a set of strict secret technique. As long as the House of Deva approves of it, no one can deny it. Yes. Su Ning nodded. His Royal Highness doesn't look well. Did something happen? Prince An's face darkened and he scoffed. Amethyst Mountain. Amethyst Mountain offended Your Royal Highness again? Su Ning was shocked. He knew of King An's hatred towards the Amethyst Mountain. His martial arts was crippled, and his kidneys were severely injured, all because of the disciples of the Amethyst Mountain. If he had the ability, His Royal Highness would definitely destroy the Amethyst Mountain, and he would not be lenient. Prince An scoffed loudly and told him about what happened yesterday. Su Ning frowned. Did the head chief take care of them? The princesses have returned safely, King An said. I don't care about the rest, let Chu Li handle it himself. Su Ning slowly nodded his head. The Amethyst Mountain is extremely powerful. It's better if Your Royal Highness does not provoke it. King scoffed coldly and slammed the table. One day, I will make them vanish into thin air. He looked angry on the outside, but he was calm on the inside, secretly sizing up Sue and seeing that Sue Ann's expression was as calm as water, and was not at all affected by his aura. King secretly nodded his head, and was even more satisfied. His anger was not only natural, but it was also intentional. He had been in a high position for a long time, and his aura was like a substance, it would definitely affect others. Suan was able to stay calm, his temperament was indeed not bad, and he was a good seedling. Moreover, he was not old. Even if he had not built his foundation, it was not too late to start now, he just had to get more spirit medicine. Has Suan cultivated martial arts? He looked at Kong Fa. Kong Fa slowly said, he has just started to cultivate divine powers. King looked at Su Ning. Su Ning said, junior brother Suan has just completed his foundation, he can cultivate. I see, King slowly nodded his head. That was even better, completing his foundation would save him a lot of effort. With his calm temperament, cultivating inner energy would definitely progress by leaps and bounds. Kong Fa bowed with pressed palms. Your Royal Highness, I have something to report first. Please speak, revered Sir Kong Fa. King hurriedly nodded. Kong Fa slowly said, Suan is already an official disciple of our temple. He has to follow the temple's rules when he enters cultivation. He cannot leave the temple until he cultivates divine powers. This time, because it concerns his parentage, the abbot made an exception, but he cannot stay for long. He must return to the Titanium Temple after a day, and continue his isolated cultivation. He cannot stay in the imperial residence? King frowned. Please forgive me, Your Royal Highness, Kong Fa slowly but firmly said. The temple's rules are like this, no one can go against it. King looked at Suan, then looked at Su Ning. Su Ning said, Your Royal Highness need not worry, junior brother Suan is wise, cultivating divine powers is not a difficult thing, he will succeed in a few years, when that time comes, he can return to the imperial residence. Moreover, the temple is more stable than the imperial residence, it is beneficial for cultivation. King thoughtfully nodded his head. He understood the meaning behind Su Ning's words. In terms of safety, the Titanium Temple was naturally better. Until now, he had never heard of anyone who could break into the Titanium Temple. If Suan was really his son, then he would be his only flesh and blood. His situation would be worrisome. He was afraid that someone would go crazy and risk their lives to kill him. He might not be able to protect him. Hiding in the Titanium Temple would be foolproof. Thinking of this, he smiled and nodded. That's good too. Your Royal Highness, the official of the House of Deva is here. Chief Zhu reported from outside. Official? King was stunned. He jumped up. Open the main door, I will personally welcome him. The House of Deva was in charge of the Imperial Ancestral Temple and matters of the Imperial family. To the disciples of the Imperial family, it was the most terrifying existence. It was extremely strict, there was absolutely no mercy. Yes, Chief Zhu responded and hurried away. King turned his head to look at Suan. He pondered for a while. Revered Sir, please invite revered Sir Kong Fa and Suan to the living room, I will go over immediately. Kong Fa pressed his palms together. Su Ning brought Kong Fa and Suan out of the cultivation courtyard. They arrived at the main hall. King quickly brought the three into the main hall. The one in front was an elder with white hair and a ruddy complexion, the other two were middle-aged men, their faces were square, their aura was stern and solemn. Kong Fa and Su Ning only glanced at them, they did not move. Suan slightly pressed his palms together. King pointed at Suan and smiled. Ninth uncle, this is Suan, the elder with white hair and a ruddy complexion, was the official of the House of Deva, Leng Wuji. He stroked his white beard and smiled. He looks a little like you. Alright, then use the blood pursuit secret skill, let's see if it's really him. Thank you, ninth uncle. King In smiled. Leng Wuji glanced at the other two middle-aged men. You too used the skill. Yes, official, the two closed fists saluted. They each poured tea in a teacup, leaving the remaining empty cup. Your Royal Highness, please bite your index finger and drip 5 drops of blood from your heart. King In knew the blood pursuit secret skill. He bit his index finger and dripped 5 drops of blood into the teacup. The two carefully placed the teacup on the table, then sat on the chairs, both of their hands pinched together, their mouths murmuring softly. After a few breaths, they pointed at the teacup in front of them. The teacup trembled slightly, it started to shake slightly. The shaking of the teacup became more and more intense, slowly, a cloud of blood mist floated out of the teacup. Chapter 518. P.S. There are still updates to be added today. Suan raised his head and looked at the two moving blood mists curiously. It was as if there was a life struggling within, it was indescribably strange. Su Ning pressed his palms together. Princeton stared at the blood mists excitedly. Kong Fa looked at it thoughtfully. This blood pursuit secret skill was indeed unique. Its secret was to use the power of the blood vessels. It was invisible, but it had substance. The person who created this skill was truly a scholar. It was truly admirable. The two blood mists suddenly converged and turned into 2 wisps of smoke that drilled into Su An's palms. Suan did not dodge. He only looked at them curiously as they drilled into his palms and penetrated his skin. There was no trace of them, as if they had never appeared. The two of them let out a long sigh and slowly stopped. They closed fists, saluted and smiled. Congratulations, Your Royal Highness. Congratulations, Your Royal Highness. Princeton chuckled and smiled. He closed fists, saluted. Thank you for your hard work. Ninth uncle, if that's the case, Suan is really my son. Yes, Suan is your son. He will be recorded in the Deva residence register today. Leng Wuji stroked his beard and smiled. What a blessing. This child's blood vessels are pure. He will be a pillar in the future. You must nurture him well. Looking at the blood pursuit secret skill, one could see the purity of the blood vessels. Suan had the essence of the Leng clan's blood vessels. He was a genius. Ninth uncle, it's not my turn to nurture him yet. Princeton smiled bitterly and shook his head. He is now a disciple of the Titanium Temple. He has started cultivating the divine power. He can only leave the temple after he has cultivated the divine power. Leng Wuji looked at Suan in surprise. He shook his head and praised. What a blessing! I wonder how happy the emperor will be if he knows. To have a Buddha as his grandson, this is a sign of prosperity for the Leng clan. Ninth uncle, you're too serious, Princeton smiled. Leng Wuji waved his hand and said, You can't be careless. My Leng clan has never had a son of Buddha before. Once a son of Buddha is born, the bloodline will never end. This is a great fortune. I have to report this to the emperor first. Ninth uncle, Suan will return to the temple tomorrow. Let's wait until he leaves. Otherwise there will be too many people talking, Princeton quickly said. He was afraid that someone would assassinate him on his way back to the temple. Although this was unlikely, he still had to be prepared. If something really happened, he would be finished. Oh, that's true. But don't worry. Leng Wuji waved his hand and smiled. The emperor knows what he is doing. If he really can't do it, just ask the imperial house elder to escort him back to the temple. Amit Ba. Kong Fa chanted the name of Buddha and shook his head slowly. With me here, I can naturally protect my disciple. There's no need to trouble yourself. Hee, revered Sir Kong Fa, we're a family now, Princeton hurriedly said. Su An's identity is very sensitive now. Don't worry, Your Highness. Suan will be safe and sound for the rest of his life. There won't be any life or death calamity, Kong Fa said slowly. Seeing his determined expression, King Yin knew that he could not force him. He could only smile and say, If that's the case, I'll listen to the revered sir. Lung Wuji smiled and said, All right, it's time for me to go. Don't worry, do your job well. As he spoke, he patted King An's shoulder. With Suan as his son, King An had a huge advantage. His position in the imperial family was also different. Even if he could not have any more children in the future, it was enough to have one. He was one step ahead of everyone else in the fight for the throne. Children were no longer his weakness, but had become his strength. With the same talent and ability, the emperor would first consider King An. If the Arhut could become the emperor, how amazing would that be? The Lung clan's empire would probably advance further. King An sent them off respectfully. When he returned, the corners of his mouth were curled up. He tried his best to not show his joy on his face, so as not to give people a frivolous feeling. However, he could not control it no matter what. One step into the underworld, one step into the cloud. There was nothing more strange than fate. Revered Sir Kong Fa, please take care of Suan. He pressed his palms together and said, If the revered sir needs anything, such as spirit medicine, just let me know. I will do my best to fulfill it. You don't have to do this, Your Highness, Kong Fa shook his head and said, Our temple doesn't lack these things. Since it's done, we should take our leave. Isn't it tomorrow? King An was startled. I haven't introduced Suan to the people in the residence. There's no hurry, Kong Fa said. When Suan leaves the temple, it won't be too late to get to know them. Now that he has just started his cultivation, it's not suitable for him to get too involved in the affairs of the mortal world. It's not suitable to disturb his mortal heart. All right, if that's the case, I won't stay any longer, King An said slowly. I'll have to trouble revered Sir Kong Fa to worry. He could not wait for Suan to hurry back to the temple. Staying in the Titanium Temple was the safest option. Staying in the residence was really dangerous. If the news was leaked, who knew what would happen? Of course, Kong Fa pressed his palms together and bowed. Suan also pressed his palms together and bowed. Kong Fa held on to Suan's sleeve. The two of them fluttered up like two yellow clouds. They flew over the courtyard wall and disappeared. Sigh. King An let out a long sigh of relief. He suddenly felt a little tired. His heart that had been on tenterhooks could finally be put down. It was really like, when there was no way out, there was light at the end of the tunnel. He originally thought that he was in a hopeless situation, but he suddenly found a way out and lived a better life. A few days ago, he was still feeling sorry for himself, lamenting that fate was unfair, and that it was too harsh on him. In the next moment, the tables were turned and the world changed. The strangeness of fate was really unpredictable. It seemed like the heavens were still looking after him. All the suffering he had gone through before was just a form of training, to make him stronger. Now that he had Suan, he was in an invincible position. No matter how much he tormented himself, for Suan's sake, his imperial father would not punish him too heavily. Su Ning pressed his palms together and smiled. Congratulations, Your Royal Highness. Haha, you've worked hard, revered sir. King An laughed out loud. Su Ning had his eye of insight, so he did not need to hide anything in front of him. He laughed and said, The heavens are really helping me. Your Royal Highness, you can pull yourself together. Su Ning smiled and said, Cultivate well and recover your cultivation level as soon as possible. Yes. King An laughed and said, The day of the Crown Prince's grand map is not far away. Suan followed Kong Fa out of the fairy's capital. Master! Suan suddenly called out. He had been acting very calm, as if everything had nothing to do with him. He did not say a word to King An, nor did he call him father. Towards this father, he did not feel close at all. There was only a faint resistance and disgust, as if there was an inexplicable hatred. Kong Fa landed on the side of the road and looked at Suan. What is it? I want to see almsgiver Seo, Suan said. He knew that the person he wanted to see the most was not the inexplicable father, but Xiao Shi. She is now King An's princess consort. We will meet again in the future. Let's return to the temple and cultivate first, Kong Fa said. Suan said, I want to see her now. Sigh. Kong Fa shook his head and said, Your mortal heart should not be moved anymore. Once you have cultivated your divine powers, you can see her whenever you want. Let's go. After he finished speaking, he did not wait for Suan to speak and carried him away. Suan helplessly turned his head and looked at the fairy's capital. The fairy's capital was getting further and further away from him. He was melancholy and depressed. Kong Fa's body movement technique was extremely fast. Suan only felt that everything in front of him was flying backward. In the blink of an eye, he was already far away from the fairy's capital. The further he was from almsgiver Xiao, the more uncomfortable he felt. His longing for her grew stronger. Time passed. In Suan's gloomy mood, 100 miles had passed unknowingly. It was already noon. Kong Fa stopped and prepared to find a place to rest. Suan no longer had the calmness he had when he was in the imperial residence. He was listless and his face was full of unhappiness. Kong Fa knew that he was throwing a tantrum. He pretended not to know and strode into a forest. After walking a few steps along the narrow path in the forest, a small pagoda appeared in front of him. It was a post house for travelers to rest. Little monk. A gentle and beautiful voice suddenly sounded. Suan suddenly trembled. He quickly widened his eyes and looked forward. A man and a woman were standing in the pagoda. The man was in a white robe, while the woman was in a bluish-white gown. Chapter 519. P.S. Prepare to write 10 chapters. Try to write as much as you can. Suan widened his eyes and shouted excitedly, Almsgiver Xiao? Xiao Shi's eyes were as deep as the sea. As she looked around, her gaze was like water. She waved her hand lightly, Little monk, come here. Suan ran over obediently, ignoring Kong Fa. Kong Fa shook his head. Chu Li stood beside Xiao Shi and bowed with pressed palms from afar. Kong Fa also bowed with pressed palms. Xiao Shi ignored Kong Fa and patted Suan's shoulder. She smiled. Little monk, why didn't you look for me when you entered the public house? Are you avoiding me? Suan looked at her with a silly smile and shook his head hard. That's good. If you were to avoid me, I would be angry and cause a ruckus outside the Titanium Temple. Xiao Shi smiled. Yo, you've grown taller. You didn't put on any weight, but your complexion is much better. Suan scratched his head in embarrassment. Ever since he built his foundation, it was as if he was eating back everything he owed for the past 10 years. His appetite was surprisingly big and good. He could eat 3 to 4 times the amount of other people, but he did not put on any weight. Good, that's how it should be. Xiao Shi smiled and nodded. She patted his forehead. How is it? You're enlightened and can cultivate divine powers now? Suan said softly, I'm starting to cultivate divine ear. Divine ear, not bad. Cultivate well and leave the temple soon. Xiao Shi smiled. Yes. Suan nodded. Xiao Shi said, You can't come out if you're in isolation. Did I give you the things I sent last time? Yes. Suan nodded. Xiao Shi pursed her lips and smiled. You're really Prince An's son now? Suan nodded again. Xiao Shi said, Looks like I'm really your mother. I'm Prince An's princess now. Suan blushed. Xiao Shi chuckled. Come, let me hear you call me mother. Suan shook his head. Chu Li could not stand it anymore. He smiled. Spare him. Little revered Sir Suan, now that you've acknowledged your ancestors, how do you feel? Facing Chu Li, Suan was calm and collected. He shook his head and said, I don't feel anything. Chu Li turned his head to look at Kong Fa. King An is really interesting. Back then, he used the vitality sealing finger on Lady Xiao, and in the end, she became his consort. He also used the vitality sealing finger on Suan, and in the end, He became his son. The wonders of the world must have made King An extremely emotional. Kong Fa's face darkened. He knew how vicious the vitality sealing finger was. If it were not for Su An's good fortune that allowed him to meet him first and then be saved by Chu Li, he would have died a long time ago. King An's father was truly the most hateful and despicable. Since Master Kong Fa knows it's him, why do you still want to recognize him? Chu Li asked, puzzled. Kong Fa sighed and shook his head. Xiao Shi looked at him with her bright eyes and scoffed. Master, what's so difficult to say? Let's hear it. Kong Fa looked at her helplessly. He knew that Xiao Shi was angry because he brought Suan away and did not let him see her. What's the matter? Xiao Shi said, having a father like that is so infuriating. Kong Fa sighed. This is a god's secret. It can't be leaked. Then forget it. Chu Li smiled. God's secret cannot be easily leaked. Otherwise there will be endless trouble. But since we met, it's also fate. Kong Fa said, this old monk will leak the god's secret. Old monk, hurry up and say it. Xiao Shi urged impatiently. Kong Fa said, I'm afraid King An won't have long to live. Chu Li was shocked. Xiao Shi's eyes suddenly lit up. Her beauty was astonishing. Is he really going to die? Kong Fa sighed. In less than a year, there will be a life and death crisis. I'm afraid King An won't be able to survive it. So I brought Suan here. It's considered as fulfilling my responsibility as a son. If I don't see him, I'll have regrets. God is finally going to take him. Xiao Shi beamed with joy. She smiled sweetly. Good death. She turned to look at Suan. Little monk, do you blame me for being vicious? Suan shook his head. Chu Li said, this is a big matter. King An's death, the emperor will be furious. He will definitely hunt down the murderer. He could not kill King An in a short period of time. His plan was to use the Holy Church of Light to kill King An, but the time was not right. In the world, only the Tempest Temple and the Holy Church of Light dared to kill King An. The other factions were afraid of the emperor's power. Whoever killed King An would suffer the wrath of the emperor. Their family and faction would be exterminated. No one dared to touch this bad luck. Moreover, King An was not eye-catching now. He was not taken seriously by the other factions. It was not worth provoking the emperor just to kill him. The Tempest Temple was not used by him. Instead, they turned him into an army. Fortunately, he had the omniscient mirror and inherited the Golden Lohan's power. Otherwise, he would be depressed to the point of vomiting blood. Now, only the Holy Church of Light had the gut. But it was not to the extent of killing King An. He needed to push it step by step. He needed to direct their anger onto King An. These madmen who were not afraid of death would definitely kill him. What he had to do was to remove himself as much as possible. He could not see his own shadow. He had to make things happen naturally. It was not man-made and he could not be blamed. It was not easy to achieve this step. He needed the right time, the right place, and the right people. Kong Fa said slowly, yes, King An's death is also a disaster for almsgiver Chu. You must not be careless. Chu Li smiled. Looks like I have to hide. Kong Fa bowed with pressed palms. That's all I have to say. I cannot speak any more. Old monk, you've said enough. Thank you. Xiao Shi bowed with pressed palms. She looked at Chu Li worriedly. King An's death was also a disaster for Chu Li. Could it be that the emperor wanted to kill Chu Li? Kong Fa smiled and shook his head. Xiao Shi looked at Suan. Little monk, do you want to stay at my place for a few days? Kong Fa quickly said, Su An's heart is not clear. It's better to return to the temple as soon as possible. What's the rush? Look at Chu Li. It's so easy to cultivate divine powers. Is his heart clear? Xiao Shi said. Kong Fa shut his mouth helplessly. Chu Li's existence was a great provocation to the monks of the Titanium Temple. They spent decades of hard work, and might not be able to cultivate two divine powers. Chu Li, on the other hand, only took a few days. Their decades of hard work was so insignificant and pitiful. Chu Li smiled. It was a coincidence. It can't be confirmed. Let's listen to revered Sir Kong Fa. Then let's send Suan back to the temple, Xiao Shi smiled. I'll bring you around to play. You can go into isolation after you've had your fun. Kong Fa smiled bitterly. Chu Li said, That's true. It's beneficial for his cultivation. Revered Sir, let Suan experience the majestic mountains and rivers, the boundless heaven and earth. It's beneficial for his cultivation. Kong Fa sighed. Suan needs to calm his heart. Chu Li smiled. I've also cultivated divine powers before. That's why I understand that the state of mind is the most important. I will help Suan. Sigh, that's fine, Kong Fa said helplessly. I'll return to the temple first. Suan will follow you to have a look. Don't take too long. 10 days is enough, Chu Li smiled. In the evening 10 days later, I'll send Suan outside the Titanium Temple. Alright, I'll be waiting. Kong Fa nodded and said to Suan, Don't go wild. Chapter 520. On the first day, they went to Qingyun Town and played in the town for a day. On the second day, they went to Chongming Town and played in the town for a day. On the third day, they played in the fairy's capital for a day. On the fourth day, they went horseback riding in the grassland. On the fifth day, they climbed a snowy mountain. They did not use light body technique and climbed step by step. After 2 days, they finally reached the top. On the seventh day, they went boating in the sea. On the eighth day, they drank tea and chatted in front of a huge waterfall. On the ninth day, they sat at the top of the mountain and watched the clouds rise and fall. On the 10th day, they sat in a valley and leisurely sat. In the evening, they returned to the Titanium Temple. Kong Fa was waiting outside the temple. Xiao Shi patted Suan's shoulder. Little monk, practice well and come out early. Suan bowed with pressed palms and walked to his master's side with heavy steps. Kong Fa bowed with pressed palms and brought Suan into the Titanium Temple without a word. The temple door slowly closed. Xiao Shi's eyes were wet. Chu Li smiled. Don't worry, it won't be long. These few days have been interesting, Xiao Shi sighed. I really don't know when the next time will be. Chu Li said, Maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 to 5 years. Can't you say it shorter? Maybe a few months. Xiao Shi scoffed. Chu Li smiled and nodded. Maybe 2. The two returned to the imperial residence of King An in an instant. In the early morning, Ling Qiu and Ling Qing were dressed in black, looking valiant and heroic. They rushed to Chu Li's courtyard. Chu Li was practicing in the courtyard. When he saw them, he smiled. Today is the hunting ceremony. Why are you up so early instead of resting? I can't sleep. I don't feel comfortable if I don't practice early, the two answered. They began to practice their swordsmanship. As they practiced, Ling Qiu started to get distracted. Head chief, do you think we can defeat Ling Tao? Yes, Chu Li began to practice his fist technique. Ling Qiu said, I don't think I'm good enough. It's not good enough. Chu Li moved slowly. His fists were slow. He smiled. But it's enough to take care of Ling Tao. That's good, Ling Qiu sighed in relief. Ling Qing said, If we can't do it, we'll do it next time. I can't wait any longer. Ling Qiu pursed her red lips tightly and scoffed. I must defeat him ruthlessly and stab him with my sword. Chu Li smiled. I've already prepared the pills. Even if he dies from the stab, he can still be saved. All right, Ling Qiu said excitedly. Ling Qing shook her head and laughed. They practiced absent-mindedly for a while, then ran back to eat breakfast. After breakfast, everyone rode out of the imperial residence. They passed through the bustling streets and quickly left the divine capital, heading towards the imperial enclosure. This year's hunting ceremony was the same as the previous one. The number of elite soldiers on both sides of the road had doubled. Their eyes were sharp, and they were all elites who had killed and seen blood. Even if their martial arts were not as good as these princes, they were not far behind. Chu Li followed beside Xiao Shi while Ling Qiu and Ling Qing rode their horses in front. Ling Qiu was no longer afraid of Ling Tao with his sword art. Ling Qiu felt that the hunting ceremony had become very interesting. It was like a whole new world in front of him. The world in his eyes was much more lively and interesting. Everything was so fun and interesting that he would never get tired of watching it. The sound of galloping horses could be heard. A few riders came to Chu Li's side and overtook them. When they saw Ling Qiu and Ling Qing, the 5 riders suddenly stopped. "Yo, if it isn't Sister Ling Qiu!" A lazy voice was heard. Ling Tao sat on his horse and looked at them with a smile. Ling Qiu and Ling Qing looked behind them. However, their vision was blocked by Ling Tao and the others. They could not see Chu Li and the others. They could not help but feel a little guilty. Ling Tao had something to rely on. He turned around and glanced at Chu Li, who was not far away. He curled his lips and turned back to Ling Qiu. "Sister Ling Qiu, what do you think? Do you want to spar?" Back then, Chu Li boasted in the imperial residence that he could defeat me in a month. Ha! Ling Qiu pursed her red lips and stared at him hatefully. "Defeating you is a piece of cake." "Ha ha!" Ling Tao laughed. His chubby body shook with laughter. "You're too good at bragging. Defeating me? Come on, let's try." Ling Qiu leaped down from her horse and scoffed. "Those who don't dare to fight are dogs." All right, Ling Tao had the same intention. He had stopped her to humiliate Chu Li. There was no fun in beating her up anymore, so he was too lazy to do it himself. "If you lose, you'll slap yourself 10 times. All right," Ling Qiu said hatefully. "If you lose, you'll kneel and call me Grandaunt. Although our bet is unfair, I like it. Let's do it." Ling Tao clapped his hands and chuckled. "If I slap your little face 10 times, how swollen will it be?" "It'll be very pretty." Ling Qiu pouted. "If you call me Grandaunt, I won't answer. I don't have the face to keep such an embarrassing grandnephew like you." "Little girl, you're still talking big. Looks like you haven't been beaten enough." Ling Tao scoffed and pulled out his sword. "I heard that you've only learned one sword technique. Come, let's see." "One sword technique, haha. Against someone like you, one sword technique is enough." Ling Qiu pouted her red lips in disdain. Ling Qing interrupted their verbal battle and said impatiently, "Can it be less? Close? Ruling the boat?" Ling Qiu stopped talking. Ling Tao glanced sideways at Ling Qing and grinned. "Sister Qing, you're a beauty, but you always put on a long face as if everyone owes you money. This is not good. You should change it. You should change your foul mouth," Ling Qing said snappily. "Hurry up. If you don't want to fight, then let's fight." Ling Tao scoffed. "Come on." He waved his fat hand and chuckled. "I'll let you have one move first." "You don't have to let me. You go first." Ling Qiu held her sword and smiled coldly. "Otherwise, you'll have to find excuses when you lose later." "Little girl, you're not losing at all. Watch my sword." Ling Tao laughed and pulled out his sword. He said it in a joking manner, but he was serious when he attacked. He was also afraid that he would fail miserably. That fellow surnamed Chu was a little evil. If he really taught Ling Qiu some incredible sword technique, then he would really lose a lot of face. A few sword flowers pierced towards Ling Qiu, showing Ling Tao's exquisite skill. Ling Qiu frowned. She did not expect Ling Tao's sword technique to be so powerful. He had lied to everyone in the past and purposely showed weakness. Ling Qing also frowned. They had been sparring with the protectors for a while now, and Chu Li had also taught them various sword techniques, training their eyesight. With just one look, they could tell that something was wrong with Ling Tao. He was actually a hidden master. Ling Qing looked not far away. Chu Li and the others were slowly approaching as if they did not see them. They were not far away. Chu Li and the others were obviously not worried. Leng Qin quickly raised her voice. Head Chief. Chu Li raised his eyebrows and shook his head with a smile. His gaze fell on one of the 4 riders. The 4 riders were all young men with average looks. One of them was a tall young man who was especially eye-catching. He looked like he could crush the horse when he sat on it. His gaze was like lightning. It was as if a blade had flashed past his eyes. Chapter 521. Hee, Sister Ling Qiu, don't keep retreating. Leng Tao chuckled. The flowers of the sword were like blooming plum blossoms. It was extremely beautiful. They kept floating towards Ling Qiu as if they were going to devour her at any time. Ling Qiu retreated again and again. Her pretty face was tense and her bright eyes were focused on his sword. Leng Tao teased her as he attacked. He was full of sarcasm. Sister Ling Qiu, I've already made more than 10 moves. Where's the 1 strike? Leng Tao chuckled. You defeated me with 1 strike. Why haven't you used your sword? Is it rusted in the scabbard? Leng Tao pressed forward step by step while Ling Qiu retreated step by step. Leng Qing helplessly retreated a few steps too. She frowned. She did not expect Leng Tao's swordsmanship to be so powerful. Since he had such powerful martial arts, why did he not have any power to fight back against the head chief? He got beaten up just like that. Could it be that he purposely let the head chief hit him to make it seem like the head chief was arrogant? As she thought about this, she looked at Chu Li. Chu Li was staring at the tall young man. He smiled and closed fist saluted. May I know who you are? I am Zhu Tianhua. The tall young man closed fist saluted and said, Are you head chief Chu Li? Chu Li nodded. That's me. May I know which faction are you from? I'm from the mountains. I have no faction, the tall young man said. Chu Li smiled. I see. To be able to cultivate to this level without any faction, Brother Zhu is a genius. You flatter me. I wouldn't dare to call myself a genius in front of head chief Chu. Zhu Tianhua said lightly. The other 3 knights did not say a word. Their bodies were tense and ready to attack at any time. They understood Chu Li's methods very well. He attacked without hesitation. As protectors, if their master was hit again, they would be punished when they returned and lose a lot of money. It's been 20 moves. Leng Tao's laughter was heard. Chu Li turned his head to look and shook his head. Song Luiying and Xuaningyu rode on their horses and stared at the battle. Xuaningyu's hands were holding a silk handkerchief tightly. It was already deformed and the silk was about to fall. Song Luiying frowned. This is not good. Why hasn't Qiu Er used her sword? Xuaningyu quickly said, She doesn't dare to use her sword, she doesn't have the confidence, there's only 1 chance. Sigh, it's dangerous. Song Luiying shook her head helplessly. Xiao Shi smiled. There's no rush. Young Qiu is still looking for the flaw in his sword technique. He'll find it eventually. Really? Xuaningyu quickly turned to look at her. Xiao Shi smiled. You see, Chu Li isn't anxious at all. He has already predicted this. Leng Tao playing tricks on him is just asking to be humiliated. Head chief has already seen through it? Xuaningyu hurriedly said. You already knew that Leng Tao had concealed his martial arts. Of course, Xiao Shi said. Xuaningyu let out a sigh of relief. Song Luiying also heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. I forgot about the head chief's ability. He has calculated everything, so we shouldn't be able to hide it from him. Little sister Cold Autumn, it's been 30 moves. If you still don't make a move, then I won't play with you anymore. Watch out for my sword. Leng Qiu shouted. Chi. A soft whistling sound rang out, and the sword light flashed like lightning. Leng Tao suddenly clutched his chest and fell down. Zhu Tianhua's expression changed drastically when Ling Qiu attacked. He wanted to fly up to save him, but a palm energy came crashing over and stopped him from getting up. He missed the chance to save Ling Tao. He stared at Chu Li angrily. Chu Li smiled. There's no rush. He won't die. Ling Qiu took out a silk handkerchief and gently wiped the blood off the blade. She threw the handkerchief at Lung Tao. One move is one move, how about it? Lung Tao clutched his stomach and did not move. His face was pale and beads of sweat covered his forehead. He stared at her in disbelief. You, what about me? Ling Qiu sheathed her sword and lifted her head proudly. She puffed out her chest. Ling Tao, now you know the pain, right? Don't worry, I stabbed your stomach, not your heart. I've spared your worthless life. Next time you see me, call me Grand Aunt and thank me for sparing your life. Ling Qiu, I will take my revenge. Lung Tao stared at him angrily and said with difficulty. Chu Li glided over to Ling Qiu and smiled. Congratulations, Lady Qiu, for getting your revenge. Ling Qiu smiled like a flower, how satisfying. Zhu Tianhua came over to Lung Tao and looked at his injuries. He stared at Chu Li coldly. Head Chief Chu, if His Royal Highness asks, I will tell you the truth. I hope Head Chief Chu can bear His Royal Highness' anger. Chu Li smiled. It's just a flesh wound. Don't make a fuss. Lung Tao used to hit Lady Ling Qiu like this too. If His Royal Highness wants to, just look for me. Farewell. He chuckled after he said that. Does Crown Prince Tao need any medicine? Consort Shui's golden wound ointment is the best in the army. Normal medicine would take 10 days to heal, but the golden wound ointment would only take 6 to 7 days. It would save you a lot of pain. Do you want some? Xuaningyu urged her horse over and pursed her lips into a smile. After all, it was Qiu Er who injured him. You should give Ling Tao some golden wound ointment, Qiu Er. Ling Qiu scoffed. What golden wound ointment? It's a waste to give it to someone like him. I'm not giving it. Xuaningyu was annoyed. Don't be so petty. Ling Qiu walked in front of Ling Tao and looked down at him. Do you want it? Lung Tao clenched his teeth and scoffed. Forget it. Chu Li smiled and said, Since Crown Prince Tao doesn't want it, then forget it. We should leave too. Alright, let's go. Ling Qiu leaped onto the horse. She was light and vigorous. Her clean and neat movements were pleasing to the eye. She sat on the horse and looked down at Lung Tao. Don't forget to call me Grand Aunt. After she said that, she laughed delicately and urged the horse forward. She shook the reins and shouted, Go! Before galloping the horse away. Ling Qing chuckled as well and followed suit. Chu Li came closer and sighed, Crown Prince Tao, take care. Ling Tao clenched his teeth and glared at him. His chubby face kept trembling. He said hatefully, All right, I'll remember that. Chu Li smiled and turned around. Let's go too. Xuaningyu only felt refreshed and exceptionally carefree. She smiled. The hunting ceremony this time should be exceptionally interesting. After that, everyone urged their horses forward. Ling Tao stared at Chu Li's back and asked gloomily, Can you kill him? Zhu Tianhua shook his head. Lung Tao said, Can't kill him. Zhu Tianhua sighed. His cultivation level is unfathomable. I'm not confident. Then try. Lung Tao scoffed, This is the best time. Finish him off. I'll give you whatever you want. Alright. Zhu Tianhua nodded slowly. I only want Miss Mu Qing. No problem. Lung Tao said. As long as you kill him, Mu Qing will be yours. Zhu Tianhua nodded slowly. His hair moved even though there was no wind. Lung Tao let out a proud smile. Chu Li, on the other hand, took a glance behind him. His omniscient mirror had been staring at Ling Tao. He could feel Ling Tao's murderous intent and expectation towards Zhu Tianhua. This Zhu Tianhua was a disciple of a secluded faction. He was not self-taught. He did not walk around the world. It was a secluded heritage faction. Chapter 522. Ling Qiu rode on her horse, beaming with joy. Head Chief, how was my swordsmanship? Chu Li smiled. Your ability to seize the opportunity is a little lacking. Logically speaking, with your swordsmanship, you should be able to defeat him in 10 moves. I wanted to play it safe, I only had one chance. Leng Qiu smiled. She was in a great mood, wishing she could fly. Leng Qing said, I think young Qiu has already used it well. If it was me, I would not dare to attack until more than 100 moves. That's because she was not forced to that step. Chu Li smiled. Leng Tao's sarcasm made her perform better than usual. Ling Qiu pursed her lips and smiled. Yes, the angrier I am, the clearer my mind is. I saw his flaw. They discussed as they rode on their horses. Chu Li called Lu Xing over and whispered a few instructions. Lu Xing nodded slowly, turned his horse around and went back. Ling Qiu could not stop talking excitedly. Xuaningyu was also beaming. The hunting ceremony this time was still hosted by Prince Bao. When he arrived at the tall building, he saw Chu Li in the crowd. He smiled and nodded, then walked into the tall building with a sullen face. He spoke to the crowd about the benevolence of the emperor, the painstaking efforts of the ancestors, and how they should cherish this opportunity and work hard to build the army. After an hour, he announced the start of the hunting ceremony. This time, because Ling Feng was not there, Lu Yurong and Princess Lu did not come, which made Chu Li a little disappointed. Ling Qiu and Ling Qing were very popular. They were quickly pulled aside by some women to talk to her, asking her about swordsmanship and the situation at that time. The news of her defeating Ling Tao in one move had spread throughout the entire imperial enclosure. Everyone knew about it. Chu Li sized up the cavalrymen in the enclosure. It was rare for Ling Tao to be so strong-willed. Even though he was injured, he still insisted on fighting and would not run away. After a while, Chu Li's expression changed. He saw Ling Tao being heavily injured, knocked by a horse, then stepped on twice by the horse's hooves, coincidentally on the wound on his stomach, so he screamed and fell to the ground, struggling and screaming. Chu Li frowned. The cavalryman who stepped on him did not do it on purpose. It was really a coincidence. Ling Tao was really unlucky. Prince Bao shouted from upstairs, Protector Ling Tao, go over immediately. Zhu Tianhua responded in a low voice. Like a wisp of smoke, he traveled a mile in the blink of an eye and arrived in front of Ling Tao. He helped him up and walked back. Ling Qiu broke away from her sisters and came before Chu Li. Head chief, what happened to Ling Tao? Chu Li smiled. What bad luck? Ling Qiu hurriedly asked. He won't die, right? If he really stabbed Gu Lingtao and caused Gu Lingtao's death, then his sin would be too great. Chu Li said, I won't die. Zhu Tianhua quickly brought Lingtao back. Chu Li stepped forward and tossed a jade bottle over. There's a spirit blessing pill inside, take it. Ling Tao was wearing a full set of armor. His face was as pale as paper as he glared at him hatefully. Thank you so much. If he hadn't been injured, he wouldn't have been injured. Chu Li said, if you don't want to die, then take this spirit blessing pill. Otherwise, you won't be able to make it back to the public house. I'm not trying to scare you. Ling Tao's expression changed slightly. Chu Li said, his internal organs are ruptured and he's bleeding non-stop. It seems that this protector of yours isn't very familiar with injuries. Ling Tao scoffed. You don't have to worry about it. All right, then take back the spirit blessing pill. 1 pill for 1 life, it's very precious. Chu Li extended his hand. Zhu Tianhua hurriedly said, thank you, head chief. He immediately poured out the spirit blessing pill and stuffed it into Ling Tao's mouth. Ling Tao only felt a clear current entering his body. In the blink of an eye, it circled around his body. The original pain and weakness disappeared, the cold disappeared and was replaced with a warm and comfortable feeling. As expected of the spirit blessing pill, Chu Li grinned. Crown Prince Tao, you want Brother Zhu to kill me, don't you? Ling Tao's expression changed slightly. He scoffed. How did you know? Chu Li said, you owe me a life now. Ling Tao gritted his teeth. What do you want? Give this Brother Zhu to me. Chu Li smiled. In your dreams. Ling Tao shouted. Chu Li said, Your life is not enough to exchange for Brother Zhu? Change your condition. Lung Tao scoffed. Moreover, even if I don't accept the spirit blessing pill, I won't die. You should know how serious your injuries are. Chu Li shook his head. Did you feel cold just now? That's the sign of your life fading away. You'll understand when you go back. I can't give Protector Zhu to you. Just give up. Lung Tao said. You have Chen Kong anyway. Chu Li said, one more protector is not much. Alright, I only have this one request. If you don't want to give it to me, then forget it. Chu Li, what do you mean? Lung Tao said. Chu Li said, I'll ask King Cheng for it. I'm sure in King Cheng's eyes, you're worth more than a protector, right? Why do you insist on asking for Protector Zhu? Lung Tao frowned. Chu Li said, because I like people who are loyal to their relationship. I'll redeem Miss Mu Qing too. 100,000 taels of silver. Lung Tao laughed coldly. Do you have it? I don't have 100,000 taels of silver. Chu Li shook his head. But Brother Zhu, you should understand that even if you have 100,000 taels of silver, you won't be able to redeem someone from the Verdant Cloud brothel if you don't have enough backing. Zhu Tianhua took a deep breath and slowly nodded. If it was a normal brothel, he would have robbed it with his status as a grandmaster. Unfortunately, the Verdant Cloud brothel was the top brothel in the fairy's capital. There were 4 grandmasters as protectors. He had no confidence in robbing Mu Qing. More importantly, it was said that Mu Qing was poisoned. Without the antidote, robbing her would be useless. He might even harm her. Chu Li said, even someone like Prince Tao might not be useful. Lung Tao scoffed. Nonsense. Chu Li said, I'm from the Secret Guardians Hall now. My words should be more useful than Prince Tao, right? At this moment, Lu Xing galloped over on his horse. He landed in front of Chu Li and presented a thin piece of paper with both hands. Chu Li nodded in satisfaction and passed it to Zhu Tianhua. Brother Zhu, this is for you. Zhu Tianhua shook his head. Chu Li said, this is Miss Mu Qing's contract. Are you sure you don't need it? Zhu Tianhua's expression changed. He quickly reached out to receive it. Chu Li, you're trying to steal my woman. Lung Tao gritted his teeth and stared at him fiercely. You're too cruel. Chu Li said, don't forget you owe me a life. He was forced to save Lung Tao. But since he did, he naturally wanted to get back at him. Zhu Tianhua was roped in by Lung Tao. His cultivation level was high and he was a good helper. It would be best to keep him by his side and order him around. Lung Tao scoffed. You're asking for repayment. You're too despicable. I like it that way. Do you agree or not? Chu Li smiled. Brother Zhu, I'll be waiting for you at the imperial residence. Miss Mu Qing is there. He stood up and returned to Xiao Shi's side. Xiao Shi glanced at Lung Tao. Wouldn't it be better to let this guy die? His death is not to be regretted. But we're in trouble. Chu Li said. Prince Qing only had this one son. If he really died, he would definitely go crazy. He was not afraid, but he was afraid that he would harm Ling Qiu and Ling Qing. He might not be able to protect them. These days, he liked Ling Qiu and Ling Qing very much. He could not bear to see them die. Xiao Shi said, can you get Zhu Tianhua over? It won't be easy. Chu Li smiled. He's a good helper. Prince Qing will not let him go. But you still want him. That body contract can force him to come here. Chu Li smiled. Chapter 523. P.S. I overdraft yesterday. I don't know if I can break through today. I'll try my best. Everyone, let's have some excitement. The hunting ceremony ended peacefully. This time, the Holy Church of Light did not cause any trouble, and the teams fought fiercely. Ling Qiu sat on the back of the horse, her towering chest puffed out, and she was in high spirits. Lung Qing shook her head without end, and she felt that this little sister of hers was a little too excited. However, he also understood her. She had been bullied for more than 10 years. Now that she had gotten her revenge and turned over a new leaf, she could finally be at ease and fearless. If it were him, he would definitely be excited as well. When Chu saw Ling Qiu like this, he could not help but laugh to himself. However, he felt that he had to give her a taste of suffering and pour cold water on her so that she would not become muddle-headed and think that she was invincible. Lu Xing came over and whispered, "Head chief." Chu asked, "How much did you spend?" "I didn't spend any money." Lu Xing lowered his voice. "I found the 2 secret guardians, Dong Qifei and Yang Zhongwen, and then went to the Verdant Cloud brothel. The madam readily handed over the person and the contract." "So easy to talk to?" Chu raised his eyebrows. As the first tower in Fairy's capital, the Verdant Cloud brothel must have a strong background. Although he was in the limelight as a head chief, he might not be taken seriously by them, so he had to rely on the secret guardians' hall. Lu Xing said, "It is said that this family's backer is Prince Bao, so no one dares to mess around. The madam is very confident. She said that she only agreed because of the head chief." "I can't accept a favor of 100,000 taels," Chu said. "Send the money over later." "Yes." Lu Xing nodded. Chu was deep in thought. Previously, he did not pay attention to the Verdant Cloud brothel because he felt that its backer was too strong and it was not something that he could touch. Later on, with the secret guardians' hall, he had enough information to use. The price of infiltrating the Verdant Cloud brothel was too high. If the Verdant Cloud brothel could be infiltrated so easily, it would not exist anymore. He did not expect it to be opened by Prince Bao. This was interesting. Prince Bao did not seem like such a person. This kind of money was not easy to earn, and it would tarnish his reputation. However, after thinking about it for a while, he thought about it again. Tarnishing his reputation was exactly what Prince Bao needed. "How is Miss Mu Qing?" "Very beautiful," Lu Xing praised. Chu furrowed his brows. Lu Xing realized that he had misunderstood and said with some embarrassment, "She's fine, there's nothing wrong with her." "Be careful. If you meet someone with an unyielding character and end your life, it'll be self-defeating." Chu said, "Let them watch carefully." "Yes." Lu Xing quickly nodded. Chu waved his hand. Lu Xing retreated lightly and urged his horse to move faster. Xiao Shi watched as Ling Tao and his men slowly left. She chuckled, "Will your wish come true?" Chu smiled and nodded. "It's hard to predict a person's heart. Let's just watch. I think this guy is quite loyal. He won't abandon Prince Cheng's residence. That depends on whether the king is worthy of his loyalty. He can't resist the power of a woman." Chu shook his head. "Men can't stand beautiful women. It's in their nature. Aren't you able to withstand it?" Xiao Shi cast a sidelong glance at him. Chu smiled and shook his head. Xiao Shi said, "You don't seem to be in a good mood today. Are you feeling down because you didn't see someone?" "Miss, what do you want to say?" "Don't think I can't tell." Xiao Shi chuckled. "You want to see Lu Yurong, right?" Chu was a little guilty, but he calmly shook his head. "Miss, you can really imagine things. Let's go back quickly." Although he didn't like Lu Yurong, a beauty was pleasing to the eye. Not being able to see her would make him sad. Xiao Shi scoffed and rolled her eyes at him. Chu did not go to see Mu Qing. She lived in a small courtyard and was served by 2 maids. Mu Qing's body was slender like a willow branch. Although her looks were not as good as Xiao Shi's, she was still a rare beauty. Her facial features were exquisite and lovely. Chu sighed. No wonder Zhu Tianhua was so loyal to her and broke the rules of the faction for her. He used the omniscient mirror to observe her temperament. For someone like Zhu Tianhua, once he was with her, he would be the softest and would definitely listen to her. If Mu Qing's temperament was not good enough, It was better to send her far away to prevent himself from raising a tiger. Fortunately, Mu Qing was a good woman. From what he saw, she was indifferent and did not care much about worldly things. She liked books and poetry, not martial arts, and also liked fighting. In the early morning, Chu Li was cultivating in the courtyard. Ling Qiu and Ling Qing were there. They liked it here and felt that it was more refreshing and pleasant than the other courtyards. Chu Li let them be. Song Luiying and Xuaning Yu were worried that their daughter would fall for Chu Li, but after a while, they felt that they were worrying too much. The two girls did not have such feelings, and neither did Chu Li. It was just a simple friendship. Chief Zhu's voice came from outside. "Head Chief, there is a young man named Zhu Tianhua outside. He wants to see you." "Bring him to the lady," Chu Li said. "Yes," Chief Zhu replied respectfully and slowly walked away. Ling Qiu and Ling Qing put down their swords. They were dressed in tight clothes and looked valiant. After defeating Ling Tao, they became more interested in swordsmanship and continued to cultivate. "Zhu Tianhua? Is he Ling Tao's protector?" Ling Qiu asked. Zhu Tianhua was tall and burly, especially eye-catching. Chu Li nodded. "What is he doing here?" Ling Qing frowned. "Is he really going to seek refuge with the head chief? Or is he going to assassinate the head chief?" "I don't know about that," Chu Li smiled. He had already seen Zhu Tianhua. Ling Qing said, "His martial arts is very good, right? His cultivation level is not bad." Chu Li nodded. "A level higher than Lu Xing and the others." "That is rare," Ling Qing was surprised. "The strength of our public house has increased a little." Chu Li shook his head and laughed. "He might not be willing to join us." "Lu Xing." Chu Li raised his voice. Lu Xing landed in the courtyard and closed fist saluted. "Head Chief. The four of you go and secretly watch over Mu Qing," Chu Li said. "Don't let anyone kidnap her." "That's impossible." Lu Xing was stunned. "Zhu Tianhua is here. The two of them are about to meet." Chu Li smiled. "We must guard against him snatching her and running away." "Yes," Lu Xing nodded. He brought Xiang Feishui and the other two to the courtyard where Mu Qing was and hid in the dark. Under Chief Zhu's lead, Zhu Tianhua came to the outside of a courtyard. Chief Zhu smiled. "This is Miss Mu Qing's residence. Young Master Zhu, please go in and take a look. Miss Mu Qing is not in a good mood." "Thank you, Chief Zhu." Zhu Tianhua closed fist saluted. Chief Zhu said, "Everything will be according to the head chief's instructions. I shall not disturb the two of you." He closed fist saluted with a smile and turned to leave. Zhu Tianhua took a look around. This courtyard had a single door with a moon gate. A few green bamboos poked out from the top of the wall, revealing a sense of tranquility. As expected of the imperial residence, it was exquisite and elegant. There were no protectors around, it seemed like they trusted him. He suppressed his excitement and slowly pushed the door open. He stepped into the courtyard and saw the delicate figure in the middle of the courtyard that he yearned for day and night. "Miss Mu," he called softly. A delicate and slender woman was standing in front of the green bamboos. Her facial features were exquisite and lovely. Her clear eyes were like water, quietly admiring the strong posture of the bamboos. The tender green reflected vitality, trying hard to disperse her melancholy emotions. She was a weak woman, her fate was beyond her control. She was like a plaything that was admired, sold to the verdant cloud brothel, and now redeemed. Until now, she had not met her future owner, she did not know what kind of fate was waiting for her. Chapter 524. When she heard the call, she immediately turned her head and looked over. Her lovely face was instantly filled with surprise. She said in surprise, "Master Zhu?" Zhu Tianhua nodded hard. "It's me." The two of them were very close and looked at each other. Mu Qing's beautiful face was glowing. She did not expect him to suddenly appear in front of her. Her lover, who was highly skilled in martial arts, had always been her hope. She always believed that he would bring her away from here and live a normal life. Master Zhu, did you redeem my freedom? She asked in surprise. Zhu Tianhua was stunned. He looked embarrassed and shook his head. It wasn't me. Ah. Mu Qing's expression changed as well. She was shocked. Then why is Master Zhu here? I came to see you, Zhu Tianhua said. Mu Qing smiled in despair and nodded lightly. It really wasn't him, it was Prince, and Zhu Tianhua's heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. He could not let Mu Qing down anymore. He must save her from this world. He hated himself for being so useless. He had unparalleled martial arts, but he could only watch helplessly as the woman he loved was trapped in this world. He joined the imperial residence of King Qing just to save Mu Qing. But just when he had a glimmer of hope, Mu Qing was immediately redeemed. No matter how much money he had, he could not have more than Chu Li. No matter how much power he could not be more powerful than Chu Li. His martial arts was also not as good as Chu Li's. Thinking about this, he gritted his teeth. A strong urge surged in his heart. Mu Qing forced a smile and advised, Master Zhu knows her. It's better than not knowing her. Zhu Tianhua forced a smile and sighed, Miss Mu, let's go. Mu Qing was stunned. Zhu Tianhua looked around. There were no protectors. He said softly, I'll bring you out. This is the imperial residence. Mu Qing quickly said. Once she entered the imperial residence, it was unfathomable in her eyes. It was heavily guarded. She never thought that she could escape from the imperial residence. Zhu Tianhua said, So what if it's the imperial residence? I can escape. Prince, and will not let this go. Mu Qing shook her head. Master Zhu will always be hunted. You will have to wander the world. Zhu Tianhua said, As long as I can be with you, it doesn't matter even if I'm hunted. We will find a deep forest and live in a place with no people. I can't do that. Mu Qing shook her head and refused. There are many good women in the world. Young Master Zhu is such a hero, there are too many women who like you. No matter how many women there are, I only care about you, Zhu Tianhua said in a deep voice. He stared at her. Miss Mu, are you afraid? Mu Qing nodded lightly. I'm afraid, young Master Zhu. I can't go with you. She was not an inexperienced lady, she knew how powerful a royal highness was. Master Zhu was a grandmaster with exceptional martial arts skills, but in the imperial residence, there were no less than a few grandmasters. If he were to provoke King An, he would be hunted down by a few grandmasters. No matter how powerful his martial arts were, he would not be able to fight them. In the end, he would die. If he died because of her, then what was the point of living? Rather than falling into that situation, it was better not to do stupid things and bear the burden alone. She had to let go of him, she couldn't hold him back anymore. He was a peerless master in the Grandmaster's boundary. As long as he did not worry about himself, he could live a good life. Zhu Tianhua frowned. Don't tell me you want to live the life of a superior like the imperial residence? Mu Qing pursed her red lips and shook her head. There is a head chief Chu Li in the imperial residence of King An. He is very powerful. Humph, Chu Li. I've seen him before. Zhu Tianhua said unhappily. The woman he admired said that another man was powerful. It was not pleasing to his ears. He is very powerful. We won't be able to escape from him. Mu Qing sighed faintly. She had heard too much news about Head Chief Chu at the Verdant Cloud brothel. In her eyes, Chu Li's appearance might be similar to Zhu Tianhua's, but he was more ruthless and cruel than Zhu Tianhua. He killed grandmasters like he was slaughtering chickens. This was a demon-like man. Once Zhu Tianhua offended him, he would not be able to escape from his evil clutches. He would die in his hands. That might not be true, Zhu Tianhua said unhappily. He was a little jealous. No matter how powerful he is still a human. He is not that powerful. Most of the rumors outside are exaggerated. Don't believe them. Let's go. Master Zhu, forget about me. Mu Qing shook her head. I have already redeemed my freedom. I am someone else's woman. We are not fated in this life. I will repay your kindness in my next life. Zhu Tianhua frowned. Miss Mu, I can escape. Listen to me. Let's go now. Master Zhu. Mu Qing wanted to say more, but Zhu Tianhua carried her up. He said softly, Don't talk. Let's break out of here. Then we will find a deep mountain. No one will be able to find us. As he finished, he floated up and skimmed over the wall. He looked left and right after he landed. There was indeed no one. He went around a moon door. His expression changed. He saw Lu Xing standing behind the moon door with his hands behind his back. He was like a jade tree facing the wind. He looked at them quietly. Lu Xing closed fist saluted. He smiled faintly. What is Master Zhu trying to do? Miss Mu Qing is now the head chief's woman. Is Master Zhu trying to steal the head chief's woman? Nonsense. Since when did Miss Mu become Chu Li's woman? If it wasn't for the head chief's reputation and Prince Bao's favor, who else would be able to redeem Miss Mu Qing? Lu Xing shook his head. Master Zhu, no matter how strong your martial arts is, no matter how much money you have, it is not worth mentioning in front of Prince Bao. Do you think you can redeem Miss Mu Qing? I want to take Miss Mu away, Zhu Tianhua said. Lu Xing smiled. Then you should at least give the head chief an explanation, right? What explanation? Zhu Tianhua scoffed. Lu Xing smiled. What do you think, Master Zhu? 100,000 taels of silver and a favor from Prince Bao. I'm afraid you can't repay it. I don't care. I want to take Miss Mu away now. Zhu Tianhua scoffed. If that's the case, then we can only offend you. Stealing the head chief's woman will cost you your life. Lu Xing shook his head. Then let's try. Zhu Tianhua was unconvinced. Chu Li is nothing special. He was not convinced by Chu Li from the bottom of his heart. That was why he did not want to become his subordinate. He would rather steal Mu Qing and run. As long as he ran to the imperial residence of King Qing, Chu Li would not be able to do anything to him based on his abilities. As soon as he finished speaking, he put Mu Qing down and dashed forward. His body was tall and burly. As he dashed forward, he was like a ferocious beast descending the mountain. Lu Xing shook his head. You don't know what's good for you. The two of them instantly got into a fight. Zhu Tianhua's body was tall and burly. His palms were like cattail leaf fans. Every palm was fierce and unstoppable. Lu Xing's body movement technique was extremely fast. No matter how fierce Zhu Tianhua's palm energy was, he could not touch Lu Xing's body. The two of them fought for more than 100 moves in one go. Mu Qing's light purple gown fluttered. She was shaken by the palm energy and her body could not help but slowly retreat. Chapter 525. Zhu Tianhua felt that Lu Xing was troublesome to deal with. Lu Xing's cultivation level was obviously lower than his, yet he could not defeat him. Lu Xing was slippery. The more anxious he was, the more helpless he was. Suddenly hearing someone behind him, he turned his head and saw Xiang Feishue standing in front of Mu Qing. His heart sank. Lu Xing chuckled. Zhu Tianhua, with your abilities, you must be joking if you think you can defeat the head chief. We can't even take one move from the head chief. Then let me show you. Zhu Tianhua sneered. His body suddenly expanded and became 3 times bigger. He shot towards Lu Xing like lightning and hit Lu Xing with his palm. Lu Xing met the attack with his right palm and flew backwards with a bang. Xiang Feishue smiled and said, Amazing! Lu Xing shouted from the sky. He used a secret technique, be careful. Xiang Feishue's light body technique was also top-notch. He took a step to the back of Zhu Tianhua and struck his back with his palm. Zhu Tianhua's huge body was exceptionally agile. He twisted his body and struck out with his palm. Bam! Xiang Feishu also flew into the air. Lu Xing made a turn in the air and dove down. Bam! Zhu Tianhua sent him flying with another palm strike. Xiang Feishu also made a turn in the air and dove down in the opposite direction. He was hit by Zhu Tianhua's palm and flew up again. Lu Xing and Xiang Feishu swooped down like two golden eagles. Zhu Tianhua activated his secret technique, and his internal energy increased by several fold. The two of them had excellent lightness technique and used it to negate most of the force, but they still felt their blood and qi churning. Their faces gradually turned pale, and they could not take more than a few hits. Xiang Feishu, looks like we have to risk our lives too, Lu Xing said. He had never wanted to use the secret technique. After using it, he had to rest for 2 days. It was very uncomfortable, so he tried not to use it if he could. Zhu Tianhua's level of cultivation was extremely high. When he activated his secret technique, he was far more powerful than the two of them. These few palm strikes were already strenuous for him. A few more strikes and he would be completely injured. "Hey, are you two just here to watch the show?" Lu Xing shouted. A laugh could be heard. "The two of you can't even deal with Zhu Tianhua. It's too embarrassing. You don't dare to show yourselves." Lu Xing snorted helplessly. "You guys are forcing us to use our secret skills. How mean." As soon as he said that, he sped up and activated his secret skill. Bam 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 bam. Amidst a series of muffled sounds, Lu Xing and Xiang Feishu attacked from the left and right continuously. Zhu Tianhua was more than enough to deal with one of them, but when the two of them attacked together, he was unable to withstand it and kept retreating. Mu Qing stared at the scene nervously, her gown fluttering in the wind. "Old Zhu, you better fall!" Lu Xing shouted and struck Zhu Tianhua with his palm. Zhu Tianhua was hit by the palm, his face flushed red like he was drunk, but he suppressed his injuries and sped up his movement technique. He grabbed Mu Qing and ran like a wisp of smoke. Bam 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 bam. Lu Xing and Xiang Feishu's light body technique were top-notch. They blocked his path and exchanged more than 10 palms. Zhu Tianhua spat out a mouthful of blood. His body became weak. "Young Master Zhu!" Mu Qing screamed. "Forget it, let them go." Chu Li's voice rang out. "Yes, head chief." Xiang Feishu and Lu Xing stepped back. Zhu Tianhua turned his head to look at Chu Li, who had appeared out of nowhere. He gritted his teeth, carried Mu Qing, turned around, and shot out. Chu Li looked at his huge silhouette disappearing and smiled. Huoyu Hao and Ing Wuqiu followed him out. The four of them stood behind Chu Li and watched as Zhu Tianhua gradually disappeared. "Head chief, are we really letting him go?" Lu Xing said. "He is indeed a good fighter, stronger than us." Xiang Feishu pouted. Zhu Tianhua's cultivation level was higher, but his light body technique was not as good. He had no advantage over them. Chu Li smiled and said, "Take it slow. He is arrogant, he needs to be polished." Secret Guardians Haldong Qifei put down the dossier and stretched his back. He sighed and stood up from the table. "Old Yang, let's go out for some fresh air." Yang Zongwen was looking down at the dossier. He waved his hand. "Go ahead, I'll finish this." "What's there to read?" Dong Qifei said. "Reading dossiers all day long, people are going to rust." "Tell that to the centurion." Yang Zongwen did not even raise his head. Dong Qifei scoffed. "What is the centurion doing? How many days has it been since he came?" He said he wanted to have a good rest, and the commander agreed. Yang Zongwen said, "Let's not worry about this. Let's focus on the dossier. Otherwise, when the centurion asks, we can only stare at him. Things are different now." "Sigh, that's true." Dong Qifei looked at the wing opposite. At this moment 2 fat men walked out from the kitchen opposite. One was fat and the other fat. They walked slowly to the courtyard and sat by the stone table. They brewed a pot of tea and poured a cup for each of them. Then, they held the teacups and chatted. These two brothers. Dong Qifei scoffed unhappily. They are so relaxed, they don't even need to read the dossier. What they are doing is more dangerous, Yang Zongwen said. They may look relaxed now, but once something happens, they will rush to the front. Their lives are on the line. How many days has it been? They haven't done anything. That's because the centurion did not let them move. As the two were talking, someone pushed open the door and entered the courtyard. Dong Qifei and Yang Zongwen looked. It was the centurion Ma Kuan. The two quickly came out to welcome him. Hey, Centurion Ma, sorry for not welcoming you. Dong Qifei quickly closed fist saluted. Ma Kuan glanced at the two and waved his hand. No need for formalities, I'm here to look for Big Ning and Little Ning. The two had already stood up from the stone table and closed fist saluted. Centurion Ma, what can I do for you? The three of them were friends who had gone through life and death together. When they encountered the three people from the Holy Church of Light, if they did not cooperate with each other, none of them would have escaped. Buyuan, I have a case here. The murderer killed a constable in the city and escaped. Ma Kuan shook his head. He's so daring, we have to kill him. Which city? Ning Buyuan asked. Billow River City, Ma Kuan said. It's 500 miles away from Fairy's capital, one day to get there. Good. Ning Buyuan smiled. Killing a constable looks like his martial art is not bad. Exactly, his light body technique is good too, that's why no one could catch up to him. Ma Kuan slammed the stone table and said hatefully, he's lawless, if we don't kill him, we won't be able to appease the people. Alright, let's go after him. Ning Buyuan smiled. Hold on. Ning Zhongyuan quickly waved his hand. Big brother, don't rush. Centurion Ma, does Centurion Chu know about this? Him? Ma Kuan sneered. How can I meet such a busy man like him? Ning Zhongyuan said awkwardly. This is troublesome, Centurion Ma, you know that we're now Centurion Chu's subordinates, whether we want to go out or not, we still need his permission. Without Centurion Chu's permission, we really don't dare to leave the city. Just take it as a small favor, Ma Kuan said. What kind of relationship do we have? Such a small matter is not worth telling him. Ning Buyuan quickly nodded. That's right, it's just a small favor. Ning Zhongyuan said, it's better to let Centurion Chu know, maybe Centurion Chu has some instructions for us, we'll be in trouble if we leave first. That's true. Ning Buyuan nodded. They were now Centurion Chu's subordinates. If they hastily helped someone else without telling him, it would not be right. I'll let Centurion Chu know first, we'll depart tomorrow, Ning Buyuan said. Ma Kuan smiled. All right, straightforward. Chapter 526. Once Ma Kuan walked out of the courtyard, Ning Zhongyuan immediately called out, Big brother, you're muddle-headed. Dong Qifei shook his head. Yes, I am. Ning Buyuan said indifferently, it's just a small matter, I'll be back in 2 days. We have nothing to do anyway, the centurion won't mind if we don't do anything for more than 10 days. Won't mind? Dong Qifei laughed. Ning Buyuan looked at his strange smile and closed fist saluted. Brother Dong, you've been with the centurion for a long time, please guide me. Sigh. Dong Qifei shook his head and sighed in satisfaction. The Ning brothers had a very high position in the Secret Guardians Hall, their tracking skills were top-notch, the house needed them, and he was just a pawn. He was proud to be treated so politely, he tried his best to explain. The centurion doesn't have a good relationship with this Ma Kuan. The Ning brothers were not stupid, they knew something was wrong when they heard it. They recalled the situation in the main hall. Ma Kuan was aggressive toward Centurion Chu, but Centurion Chu was calm, as if he did not care about what he said, did not argue with him, and let him force him. Is it an enemy? Ning Zhongyuan quickly asked. Dong Qifei said, More or less, Centurion Chu is a magnanimous man. He did not lower himself to Ma Kuan's level, but this Ma Kuan kept finding fault with him. Centurion Chu is a centurion now, how could he let him do as he pleases? Why is it like this? Centurion Ma would not go against Centurion Chu for no reason, right? Ning Zhongyuan frowned. Centurion Ma's nephew died in the imperial residence of King An, Princess Xiao's hands, Dong Yufei said, then looked at the brothers with a smile. The Ning brothers suddenly understood. They could guess the rest. Ma Kuan must have been indignant and wanted to take revenge, but the secret guardian's hall did not allow internal strife, so he had been targeting Centurion Chu at every turn, going against him and finding fault with him. He wanted to provoke Centurion Chu's anger to the point that he would attack him. Once he attacked, Ma Kuan would have a reason to attack, even if he killed Centurion Chu. His crime would not be that serious. Although this method was not brilliant, it was very effective. Think about it. If you agree, what will happen to our centurion? Dong Qifei shook his head and said, so, we still have to ask Centurion Chu about this. Yes, I was thinking too simply. Ning Buiyuan quickly nodded. He was shocked. If he really went to help, he would be in big trouble. Centurion Chu was not an ordinary person. He was smart and capable, and his methods were outstanding. They were under Centurion Chu's command. As long as Centurion Chu played some dirty tricks, the two of them would not have an easy time. They might have to keep running around outside, and they might not even get the credit. In any case, there were plenty of ways to deal with them. Sigh, it's all thanks to Brother Dong. Ning Buiyuan nodded with lingering fear in his heart. Dong Qifei smiled and said, it's nothing. We're from the same academy, so of course we have to take care of each other. Shall we go to the imperial residence and ask? Ning Buiyuan humbly asked for guidance. Dong Qifei shook his head and said, no need, we'll pretend we don't know about this. Ning Buiyuan furrowed his brows and thought for a while before he nodded. I understand now. Just pretend you don't know anything. Ning Zhongyuan smiled and said, Big brother, you're finally enlightened. You scared me. Although they had been through life and death situations with Ma Kuan, they could not do anything about this. They had to lower their heads when they were under someone else's roof. They could not put themselves in a difficult situation just to help him. Moreover, they did not have to do this case. There was no need for them to sacrifice themselves for others. The next morning, Ma Kuan came over again and said loudly, Big Ning, young Ning, let's go? Ning Buiyuan and Ning Zhongyuan came out from the side room. They closed fists saluted and said helplessly, I'm really sorry, we have a mission today. Why don't you tell Centurion Chu first? Tell him? Ma Kuan's face darkened for a while, then he smiled and said, Is it worth telling him about such a small matter? He's busy with important matters. We really don't dare to make the decision, Ning Buiyuan said helplessly. Ma Kuan's face darkened and scoffed. Why, you're not even going to help such a small group? What small group? Chu Li's voice was heard. He was dressed in a white robe and slowly walked into the courtyard. Ning Buiyuan and Ning Zhongyuan closed fists saluted as if they had been pardoned. They were secretly grateful to Dong Qifei. As expected, he went to the imperial residence and secretly told the centurion about the matter. Ma Kuan frowned and looked at Chu Li. Chu Li closed fists saluted and smiled faintly. Senior Ma, it's a blessing to have you here. What can I do for you? Ma Kuan clenched his teeth. He did not want to talk to him, but he really had to say it. He could only bite the bullet and scoff. There's a murderer that escaped from my side. I need the Ning brothers to track him down. Chu Li said, You don't need the Ning brothers for such a small matter. If I could catch him myself, why would I need the Ning brothers? Although the Ning brothers are your subordinates, they are also people of the secret guardian's hall. Ma Kuan said impatiently. Chu Li smiled and said, Then you can look for the commander. I will naturally follow the commander's orders. As for you, Senior Ma, they have other things to do. They don't have the time to care about other people's business. Chu Li, you're taking revenge on purpose, aren't you? Ma Kuen's face darkened. He glared at him. Is this how narrow-minded you are? Chu Li shook his head and sighed. Senior Ma, you're wrong. If I help you, I'm broad-minded. If I don't, I'm narrow-minded. Everyone has to revolve around you? Chu Li, don't forget that there will be a time when you need my help. Ma Kuen threatened. Don't go overboard. We'll meet again in the future. Chu Li smiled. Yes, thank you for the reminder, Senior Ma. I'll return this to you. Have a safe trip. I won't see you out. As he said that, he turned and entered the main hall. Chu Li, I'll look for the commander. Ma Kuen scoffed. Chu Li did not care about him. He could finally vent his anger. He had been holding it in and did not fall for his trick. He wanted to control the secret guardians hall. He could not lose the bigger picture because of a small gain. Today was an opportunity that came knocking on his door. If he let it go, he would be letting himself down. Even if the commander knew about it, he could not say anything. If you can do 30, I can do 15. The Ning brothers followed him into the house. You've done well. Chu Li looked at the two of them with satisfaction. The two of them were also secretly looking at him. They were extremely curious about this rising star of the Secret Guardians Hall, especially his tracking skill. However, this was an exclusive secret technique. He would not reveal it easily. They would get along well with each other. Once their relationship was deep enough, they might reveal some of the secret. They were the most obsessed with tracking skills. That was why they were so successful. The full cloud camp was destroyed. Go and see what happened. Chu Li picked up a file on the table and passed it to Ning Boyuan. I think there's something fishy about this. Investigate it carefully. Yes. The two of them understood. They knew that Chu Li was purposely sending them away so that Ma Kuen would not have a chance. Chu Li shook his head. This is not just a grudge. This case is very important. Keep your spirits up and investigate carefully. Don't get yourselves involved. Yes. The two of them said seriously. Chu Li waved his hand. Move immediately. Yes. The two of them closed-fist saluted and left the main hall. Chapter 527. Dong Qifei and Yang Zhongwen came to the main hall from the east wing. They avoided Ma Kuen just now to prevent him from taking his anger out on them. Ma Kuen could not do anything to Centurion Chu, but he could do something to the two of them. If he really wanted to cause trouble, it would be hard to escape. Chu Li glanced at the two of them. Any other news? Centurion, we just received news that the people from Full Cloud Camp were killed by a strong inner energy. There was also a strong and overbearing finger force that crushed their throats and even crushed their arms, Yang Zhongwen said. Chu Li frowned. Strong and overbearing finger force, there are plenty of finger forces like that. Yes, but this person's cultivation level was very high. He could kill everyone in the camp in one go. A normal person would not be able to do that, Yang Zhongwen said. Chu Li said, Are you sure it was done by one person? It's been determined. Yang Zhongwen nodded. This case was originally handed over to the imperial court. They had no clues and could not solve the case, so they could only hand it over to us. It's been 10 days, I'm afraid it's hard to find any clues. Did the murderer leave anything behind? Chu Li asked. Yang Zhongwen shook his head. He was very clean and did not leave anything behind. It's up to the Ning brothers now. Their tracking skills are amazing, they might be able to find something. Chu Li nodded slowly and looked at Dong Qifei. Be careful, don't think about going out all day. Centurion, I'm not cut out for this, Dong Qifei said helplessly. He wanted to be like Yang Zhongwen, able to answer the Centurion's questions without hesitation. However, he would feel dizzy every time he looked at the dossier. His head would feel heavy and he could not lift his spirit. Even if he pinched his thighs to wake himself up, it was useless. After a while, he would revert back to his old habits. Chu Li sighed, "You'll have a limited future like this." He, "As long as I'm with the Centurion, I can do anything." Dong Qifei laughed. Chu Li laughed and pointed at him. This flattery was too direct, there was no standard at all. Yang Zongwen was smiling. He knew Dong Qifei's temperament. It was indeed more suitable to run around outside. He could not stay in the house. He had been stifled for a while. Chu Li said, "If Ma Kuan is unreasonable in the future, you guys can just leave. Don't talk to him." He was also worried that Ma Kuan would vent his anger on the two of them after failing to harm him, or even purposely humiliate the two of them to anger him. Yes. The two nodded hurriedly. They groaned inwardly. When the immortals fought, the little devils suffered. Their good days were coming to an end. Chu Li said, "You guys will depart after a while. Follow behind the Ning brothers and save them when the time comes." "Don't let them find out?" Yang Zongwen asked hurriedly. Chu Li nodded. "Don't let them find out, and don't let anyone else find out either. Watch how they investigate the case, and learn from them. If you show yourselves, they won't reveal their true abilities." The Ning brothers treasured their family's tracking technique very much and would never pass it on to others. Even if the Secret Guardians Hall wanted to buy it at a high price, they would not agree to it. The Secret Guardians Hall did not force him either. The Secret Guardians Hall treated their own people well. "Yes." The two nodded hurriedly. Chu Li waved his hand and the two of them left the room. After Leng Tao finished his breakfast, he entered Zhu Tianhua's courtyard. When he saw Mu Qing's beautiful figure, his eyes immediately lit up. Zhu Tianhua saw his expression and was secretly unhappy, but he did not show it. He coughed softly. "Imperial Crown Prince, please have some tea." Mu Qing served the teacup and retreated. Leng Tao stared at her as she left. He did not move. No wonder Zhu Tianhua worked so hard. He was indeed a seductive vixen. Look at that pitiful look, that soft and slender waist. Oh, if she were to wiggle on the bed, how ecstatic would that be? When he thought of that, he was almost drooling. Zhu Tianhua frowned and looked at him. "Imperial Crown Prince, please have some tea." Zhu Tianhua scoffed. Zhu Tianhua became more and more disappointed with Ling Tao. If it was not to borrow Prince Cheng's power to redeem Mu Qing, he would never step into the imperial residence of Prince Cheng. Ling Tao came back to his senses. Oh. He looked at Zhu Tianhua and chuckled. "Elder Zhu, you are so lucky." "It's all right." Zhu Tianhua let out a smile. Ling Tao sighed. "I have never met such a stunning beauty." "There are many stunning beauties in the fairies' capital," Zhu Tianhua said. That was what he felt the most. Although there were beauties in the small town, they were rare. When he arrived at the fairies' capital, he realized how big the world was. There were so many beauties. It was as if all of them were gathered in the fairies' capital. Just like in the verdant cloud brothel, every one of them was a beauty. Even if there were some who could not win against Mu Qing, the difference would not be too big. All those stunning beauties have been snatched away. Leng Tao said angrily. "It's not my turn yet." "How is that possible?" Zhu Tianhua shook his head. "You are the imperial crown prince. Let's talk about the first beauty of the great Ji dynasty. She married Uncle An. Their age difference is more than 20 years. Leng Tao said angrily. Zhu Tianhua praised. "Princess Xiao is indeed very beautiful." Even if he felt that Mu Qing was beautiful and could not help but be intoxicated, he could not deny that Princess Xiao was more beautiful than Mu Qing. It was just that Mu Qing had a unique aura that attracted him. Princess Shui, on the other hand, was unattainable. Looking at her for a long time would make him feel humble and insignificant. If it wasn't for Princess Xiao's beauty, would Chu Li protect her so wholeheartedly? Leng Tao scoffed. "I think that Chu Li is also a greedy and lecherous person. Didn't you say that he has never entered the verdant cloud brothel?" Zhu Tianhua said. Mu Qing said that ever since she entered the imperial residence, she had never seen anyone else. She had never seen Chu Li. He still had a knot in his heart because Mu Qing was very respectful towards Chu Li. It made him very uncomfortable. Lung Tao scoffed. With a beauty like Princess Xiao by his side, would he look at other women? Zhu Tianhua sighed and slowly nodded. That is true. I think that there must be something going on between him and Princess Xiao, Lung Tao said. Zhu Tianhua raised his eyebrows. Lung Tao said, if he doesn't like Princess Xiao, I will pluck my head off and kick it like a ball. Why wouldn't he like her? Zhu Tianhua shook his head and sighed. It was impossible for any man not to be tempted to spend time with such a stunning beauty like Princess Xiao. Thinking of being able to spend time with a beauty like Princess Xiao, he suddenly felt a little envious. If he became Chu Li's disciple, would he be able to see Princess Xiao all day long? He really liked Mu Qing, but to be able to see a beauty like Princess Xiao was also a great joy. It was much better than looking at Lung Tao, the lecherous fatty, all day long. You said that you snatched Miss Mu Qing and escaped from the imperial residence of Kingen? Lung Tao coughed lightly and asked in a serious manner. Zhu Tianhua nodded. Looks like your martial arts is really powerful. Lung Tao smiled. But you were lucky that Chu Li was coincidentally not there. Chu Li was there, Zhu Tianhua said. Lung Tao was stunned and his smile faded. Chu Li was there and you still managed to escape? You're bragging, right? Chapter 528. P.S. Everyone has been so supportive, tipping me like rain, monthly votes like snow. I have to add more chapters. I'll continue. No protectors stopped you? Lung Tao asked. There were 4. What about Chu Li? Chu Li didn't do anything. Oh? Lung Tao dragged out his words. He shook his head and smiled. I really don't know what he was thinking. It's 100,000 taels of silver. He didn't stop you and let you leave with it? Yes. Zhu Tianhua nodded slowly. Afterwards, he could not understand why Chu Li did not stop him. In that situation, if Chu Li had attacked, he would not have been able to take Mu Qing away. He might not even have been able to escape. There were many masters in the imperial residence of Princeton. The 2 young men he fought with were very powerful, only slightly weaker than him. I really don't know what he's up to. Lung Tao shook his head. He pinched the teacup and frowned. He looked at Zhu Tianhua with a strange gaze. Zhu Tianhua was stunned by his stare. He quickly said, Imperial Crown Prince, you're not suspecting that I defected to him, are you? Of course not. Lung Tao quickly waved his hand. No matter how stupid I am, I would know that Chu Li is trying to sow discord, purposely making me suspicious. Zhu Tianhua smiled. Thank you for your trust, Imperial Crown Prince. Lung Tao waved his hand. I personally invited you into the imperial residence. If I don't trust you, who should I trust? All right, I've drunk my tea. I shall not disturb your sweet time. Enjoy yourself. I'll send you off, Imperial Crown Prince, Zhu Tianhua said. Before Lung Tao left, he took a deep look inside. He was a little reluctant. Unfortunately, the curtain did not move. The beauty inside did not have the intention to send him off. It really made him a little sad. He wanted to barge in to see her. Zhu Tianhua was even more unhappy. He waited for him to leave. He quickly closed the door. Mu Qing came out. She was dressed in a light purple gown. Her face was white. She was lovely. Brother Zhu, looks like we can't stay any longer. Mu Qing sighed. She shook her head. Beauty is always a source of trouble. I've harmed Brother Zhu again. Leave? Zhu Tianhua was stunned. He quickly said, It's better to stay in the imperial residence. It's safer. Chu Li can't barge in no matter how powerful he is. He can't take you away. I'm not worried about Chu Li. Mu Qing shook her head and sighed. I'm worried about the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince relies on me a lot. What is there to worry about? Zhu Tianhua forced a smile. Mu Qing sighed. I've seen too many of those eyes of his. They are filled with malicious intentions, and he can't wait to devour me. If I don't leave now, I'm afraid I'll harm you, Brother Zhu. Sigh, it's all my fault. I should have covered my face. She sighed and shook her head. It can't be, Zhu Tianhua furrowed his brows and said, Crown Prince is someone who has seen much of the world, why would you, as he said this? He suddenly thought of Ling Tao's previous words and stopped abruptly. He recalled Ling Tao's previous expression. Mu Qing was so beautiful, how could he not covet her? Mu Qing helped him to the stone table and sat down. She poured him another cup of tea and softly said, I am worried that he is now suspecting you, Brother Zhu. What's there to suspect? Zhu Tianhua scoffed. It's not like I have an affair with Chu. What's there to suspect? He's worried that you have already sided with Chu. Mu Qing shook her head lightly and said, He feels that you have other motives for coming back. Even if he only has a little suspicion, he will force himself to suspect you even more because of me. She was grateful to Chu. If it wasn't for him, she would never have left the verdant cloud brothel. Ling Tao's gaze made her feel disgusted. It was as if he had already stripped her clean. Even though she was a virgin, she knew what it meant. Zhu Tianhua furrowed his brows and did not say a word. Mu Qing sighed. Brother Zhu, you have to be careful. I'm fine. Zhu Tianhua shook his head and said, I'm only worried about you. If the Crown Prince really suspects me, we can leave the imperial residence and be free from then on. We can find a quiet place to live our lives. That's for the best. Mu Qing nodded lightly. She looked at Zhu Tianhua's unconcerned expression and sighed to herself. Was all of this within Head Chief Chu's expectations? In the evening, as the sun set, Lung Tao came to Zhu Tianhua's courtyard again. Zhu Tianhua was cultivating. When he saw him, he quickly invited him to sit down and personally made tea. Where's Miss Mu Qing? Lung Tao asked disappointedly. She's not feeling well. She's resting in the house. Zhu Tianhua clumsily brewed tea and passed it to him. Lung Tao quickly waved his hand. I'm not thirsty. Not feeling well? Is she all right? Maybe she's not used to suddenly coming to a strange place. It's not a big deal. She'll be fine after resting for a while. Zhu Tianhua smiled. That won't do. If she's not feeling well, of course she needs to find a doctor. I'll get the imperial physician to take a look. Lung Tao quickly waved his hand. Crown Prince, there's really no need. If she's not feeling well tomorrow, we can get the imperial physician. Zhu Tianhua stopped him. That's fine too. Lung Tao nodded and stood up. I'll go take a look. Zhu Tianhua stopped him again. Crown Prince, there's no need. Lung Tao wanted to push his majestic body away. Don't stop me. Miss Mu Qing is sick. I can't just ignore her. Zhu Tianhua blocked him again and frowned. Crown Prince, I thank you for your concern on behalf of my wife. It's not good for her to be an outsider now. An outsider. He emphasized the word guest. I'm not an outsider. Lung Tao said disapprovingly. Zhu Tianhua said, Crown Prince, you're an outsider. You don't have to worry about my wife. Lung Tao squinted his small eyes and looked at him. Zhu Tianhua stared back at him, unwilling to back down. Both of their eyes seemed to be flickering with fire. All right. I didn't expect Elder Zhu to be so petty. Lung Tao scoffed. Zhu Tianhua said, I'm indeed petty. I hope that Crown Prince won't disturb my wife here. Lung Tao said angrily, I meant well. But you treat me like this. I'm so disappointed. I'm leaving. He turned and left after he finished speaking. Zhu Tianhua watched him leave. He frowned and sat beside the stone table. Mu Qing lifted the curtain and walked out of the house. She sighed and sat beside him. She said softly, I'm such an unlucky person. Nonsense. Zhu Tianhua said in a low voice. We shouldn't stay here any longer. We'll leave tonight. Leave. Mu Qing frowned. I'm just afraid that Lung Tao won't let us go. He's a smart person. Zhu Tianhua scoffed. He should understand that it's not a wise move to have another grandmaster. All right. Mu Qing nodded lightly. Zhu Tianhua's mind was set. He felt relieved and relaxed. He held on to Mu Qing's hand. Don't worry. I'll take good care of you. I'll definitely let you live a peaceful life. Okay. Mu Qing nodded lightly. She revealed a lovely smile. I only want to live a normal life. I don't want to be rich. Let's find a place to stay in the countryside. Zhu Tianhua smiled. Thinking of the beautiful days they would have in the future, he could not help but feel excited. He could not wait to leave. He wished that the moon would rise up soon. The night fell. After they had dinner, Zhu Tianhua carried Mu Qing on his back. He threw away all the baggage and left. Chapter 529. Ling Tao stood in front of the three grandmasters and stared at Zhu Tianhua. He shook his head and sighed. Elder Zhu, where are you going? Zhu Tianhua closed fist saluted. Imperial Crown Prince, I'm leaving. Where are you going? Lung Tao scoffed. Don't tell me you're going to the imperial residence of Prince An. Zhu Tianhua shook his head. I'm not that despicable. Although this place is good, it's not a place for me to stay. My wife and I are looking for a beautiful place to live in seclusion and live a peaceful life. You sure have a good plan. Lung Tao said coldly. You come and go as you please. What kind of place do you think the imperial residence is? Imperial Crown Prince, didn't we agree on this before? Zhu Tianhua frowned. I'm free to come and go. I can leave whenever I've had enough. Are you going to go back on your words? I didn't say that. Lung Tao waved his hand. You can't leave. Zhu Tianhua said lightly. Imperial Crown Prince is eyeing my wife. I have to leave. Or else I'm not a man. Bullsh *T. Lung Tao hurriedly shouted and said guiltily. When did I cast covetous eyes on Miss Mu Qing? I just like her because of her beauty. I have no intention of profaning her. Don't measure the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure. Mu Qing laid on Zhu Tianhua's broad and majestic back. She felt extremely safe and was wrapped in warmth. Even though she was in a bad situation, her heart was still peaceful. Zhu Tianhua shook his head. I came to the fairy's capital to save my wife. Now that I've saved her, it's time to leave. You can leave if you want. What about the secret of the imperial residence? Lung Tao scoffed. You go back now and continue to be a protector. We'll pretend nothing happened. Or else, today will be the day you die. Zhu Tianhua frowned. Imperial Crown Prince, why do you have to go this far? Lung Tao squinted his small eyes and laughed coldly. Who asked you to be so ignorant? Furthermore, I think you've climbed up a high branch and got recruited by Chu Li. Zhu Tianhua shook his head. Imperial Crown Prince, if you wish to pin a crime on someone, you can always find a way to do so. Between the imperial residence of King An and the imperial residence of King Qing, it's obvious which is stronger and which is weaker. How can I leave the imperial residence of King Qing just because of the imperial residence of King An? Imperial Crown Prince's words are too ridiculous. I will ask you one last time. Considering that we are master and servant, I will ask you one last time. Lung Tao straightened his stomach and said in a deep voice, Are you coming back or not? Zhu Tianhua said lightly, There's no turning back after a shot is fired. I've already made up my mind. I hope the Crown Prince can grant my wish. Lung Tao shook his head, revealing a look of grief and indignation. I knew it, you must have been bribed by Chu Li. Since Chu Li helped you redeem Miss Mu Qing, you must be grateful and want to repay him. If that's the case, we can only fight to the death. Men, kill him. Yes. The three grandmasters rushed towards Zhu Tianhua. Zhu Tianhua snorted angrily. His majestic body suddenly grew bigger, and he charged forward. Bam, 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 bam. Amidst 4 muffled sounds, Zhu Tianhua was hit by a palm, but he still rushed out. His speed was as fast as lightning, and the 3 of them actually couldn't catch up. Lung Tao shouted, "Elder Chen, don't let him go! Don't worry, the Crown Prince, I won't be able to leave." Chen Kong appeared not far away from Zhu Tianhua. He shook his head and sighed. Young people are fickle. Staying in the imperial residence and enjoying the glory and splendor is such a happy thing. Why do you have to walk down the path of death? I don't want to live like this. Elder Chen, don't force me. Zhu Tianhua gritted his teeth. He tried his best to control the surging inner energy so that he would not explode. Chen Kong shook his head and sighed. "Sigh, forget it. Everyone has their own aspirations. I'll send you all to the next world." After he finished speaking, he instantly appeared in front of Zhu Tianhua like a wisp of smoke and pressed his palm down. If it was any other time, Zhu Tianhua would not be able to react in time. Chen Kong's body movement technique was too fast. However, this time, he activated his secret skill, and his movements were 3 times faster than usual. His fan-like palm met Chen Kong's. Bam! A muffled sound was heard. Chen Kong took a slight step back, and rushed forward again with another palm. Bam 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 bam! The 2 of them continuously exchanged more than 10 palms. It was hard to determine the winner. Zhu Tianhua was a little anxious. If this continued, he would not be able to escape. Thinking about this, he crossed his arms in front of his chest. A surge of inner energy gathered in his chest. Then, he separated his arms, as if he was holding a hammer in each hand, and swung it towards Chen Kong. Bam! Chen Kong was sent flying. He widened his eyes in surprise. He did not expect Zhu Tianhua to have such a strange skill. It was as if he was hit by a hammer. He could not help but retreat. At this time, 4 grandmasters rushed over from afar. Zhu Tianhua looked at the grandmasters that were gathering. He felt a little hopeless. He whispered, "My wife, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape." Mu Qing laid on his back and whispered, "Big brother, if you abandon me, can you escape?" "I can't," Zhu Tianhua said. "They have too many masters." "Then let us be a pair of mandarin duck. We'll be husband and wife in our next life." Mu Qing whispered, "I'm very satisfied to be able to die in Big Brother Zhu's arms." "Sigh, it's all my fault." Zhu Tianhua suddenly hated himself. He must have been blind to have trusted Lung Tao. When Chu Li recruited him, why did he not agree? He should have agreed even if it was for Mu Qing's sake. Or, he should not have brought Mu Qing back. He should have left the fairies' capital. The world was so big. He and Mu Qing could hide in a deep forest. He did not believe that Lung Tao and the others would be able to find him. Mu Qing said softly, "It's not Big Brother Zhu's fault. It's me. Without me, Big Brother would still be living well and carefree. Without you, there's no meaning in my life." Zhu Tianhua sighed. The 2 of them spoke softly. The grandmasters had already surrounded them. They stared at him like a tiger watching its prey. They felt pity for Mu Qing. "Don't hurt the lady," Lung Tao said hurriedly. Chen Kong frowned and looked at Lung Tao. "Imperial Crown Prince, please step aside. Don't get in the way of the others." "Elder Chen, don't hurt the lady. I like her," Lung Tao said hurriedly. Chen Kong disliked him more and more. He faintly felt that it was Lung Tao's fault that Zhu Tianhua wanted to leave the imperial residence. How could he stay if he liked someone else's woman? But now that things had come to this, there was no room for retreat. They could only kill Zhu Tianhua. After all, they had already offended him. If they let him escape, it would be putting the imperial residence of King Qing in danger. Chen Kong pulled Ling Tao away and said, "Kill the 2 of them. Do it." The 4 of them immediately pounced towards Zhu Tianhua. Their fist force and palm wind were swift and fierce. When combined together, they formed a powerful force like a flood. No matter how high his cultivation level was, he could not withstand it. He was about to be heavily injured. His body was violently pulled. His vision blurred. He appeared on the roof about 20 steps away. Chu Li stood beside him in his white robe. Chu Li closed fist saluted and smiled. Elder Chen, I'm sorry. I want this person. I'll pay you a visit another day to apologize. Goodbye. As soon as he finished speaking, he pulled Zhu Tianhua. Like a stream of light, they flew across the night sky and disappeared instantly. Ah, Chu Li! Lung Tao shouted angrily. Qin Kong's face darkened. He stared at him coldly. Lung Tao shouted, Elder Chen, are you going to let Chu Li be so arrogant and unscrupulous? What do you want? Qin Kong laughed coldly. Are you going to chase after him, then barge into the imperial residence of King An and kill Zhu Tianhua? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.